Douluo, what's wrong with me being in a relationship in the spirit hall? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 The Jealous Guangling. Well, he is indeed not at a loss, Guangling nodded and replied, and then he looked at the glowing soul bone in Jinrinayu's hand. But Yuir, why did you cut off your right arm? Jinrinayu already had a piece of Binglian's right arm spirit bone on her body, and it was absolutely impossible to absorb this piece again. As far as he knew, Tang Hao had quite a few spirit bones on his body, and Jinrinayu would be able to cut off the other spirit bones casually. It was a great improvement for herself. Why did she choose the one she owns? Could it be that she is going to give away the 7-year-old right arm bone? Thinking of this, Guangling couldn't help frowning. Why is this girl giving away all the good things? Last time I gave that poisonous old boy a 5-year-old soul bone. This time I took this 7-year-old soul bone. Is it to give to Chen Xin? The more Guangling thought about it, the more uncomfortable she felt. It just so happened that Jinrinayu had been looking at the soul bone in her hand at this moment and didn't pay attention to the expression of the person next to her. This is a gift, she spoke out. I guessed it right. Guangling pouted, slightly jealous. For your master? Jinrinayu paused, then looked up at him. Of course not. I have already given away a plant of fairy grass, and then give it to the soul bone. Isn't that pure and unreasonable? Chen Xin is not her boyfriend. Why is she being so nice to him? What's more, the thinking of Kibao Liulazong is not clear now. God knows which side they will be from in the future. Who is it for? Guangling asked, his eyes lowered, staring at Jinrinayu all the time, as if trying to catch something. Jinrinayu tilted her head, and then noticed Guangling's mood swings. Are you jealous? She narrowed her eyes slightly. Just looking at him, the thought was punctured. Guangling subconsciously looked away. He curled his lips, not admitting it at all. No, I'm just curious who you will give this rare soul bone to. Then I will give Chen Xin, Jinrinayu said deliberately. What? After Guangling heard this, his gaze that had just been withdrawn fell on Jinrinayu again. He frowned slightly and said a little unhappy, Yuir, are you lying to me? He suddenly approached Jinrinayu, his eyes burning. Jinrinayu retreated subconsciously, and soon, she was blocked by Guangling on the tree trunk. How can I lie to you? She put her hands behind her, and just looked at Guangling. Shui Lingling's big eyes were really, she seemed innocent, fickle. Guangling cursed in a low voice. He noticed Jinrinayu's movements, and then stretched out his hands to wrap the person in his arms. You are too good to others, and I'm not happy. The tone was full of jealousy. Jinrinayu couldn't help raising her eyebrows after hearing this. She responded to Guangling's hug, leaned her chin on his chest, and said with a smile on her eyebrows, isn't that what you said, that you weren't jealous? I'm hard-spoken, can't I? Guangling curled her lips and said, although she was very embarrassed, there were no outsiders here, just be more coquettish. Jinrinayu would not laugh at him anyway. Haha. Jinrinayu laughed out loud. Never thought that this person who has lived for 7 or 80 years would still have the attribute of being clingy and jealous. To be honest, the current Guangling is just like a Hakimi, cute, no brains. I know you are stubborn, just kidding you. I will not give these 7-year-old spirit bones to outsiders. The reason why I chose to cut off his right arm is mainly to give you this spirit bone. Your left doesn't the arm have a soul bone? Good things come in pairs. Wouldn't it be perfect with a right arm soul bone? End of this chapter. Chapter 102 Drawing Book Tips for Coaxing Girls. Oh, so it was for him? Guangling, who was not happy just now the corners of his mouth are crazily raised, and his smile is endless, but he doesn't make a sound. Sure enough, his family Xiao Wu still likes him. Jinrinayu raised her eyes to look at him. The slight breeze in the forest blew up the hair of the two of them. A cool feeling ran across their faces. Guangling deliberately dodged Jinrinayu's gaze. Her face was raised high. This Jinrinayu couldn't see his expression for a moment. Jinrinayu narrowed her eyes, pouted her lips, squeezed Guangling's flesh with a hand holding Guangling's waist, and said, I'm talking to you, why are you ignoring me? Hiss. Guangling screamed subconsciously. He took out one hand and grabbed Jinrinayu's hand that was squeezing his flesh. Then he looked down at her. There seemed to be a threat in his eyes, but the smile in his eyes was how Zhangdu couldn't hide it. I said, Yuir, don't do anything. I'm not a good person. Oh? Really? Then what can you do to me? Jinrinayu raised her eyebrows, not believing in evil ways. She smiled slightly. as bright as a flower. Seeing this, Guangling squeaked softly. The two looked at each other. He suddenly approached Jinrinayu and whispered in her ear, "There are many things I can do to you. Which one do you want to know?" After saying that, he deliberately turned his head away and just looked at Jinrinayu like this, as if expecting her to show a different expression. The ambiguous words came into Jinrinayu's ears along with a heat of exhalation. Jinrinayu blushed without any surprise. A deer jumped in her heart, and the heat on her whole face soared. The word "sorry," it's almost written all over your face. She has never been in a relationship before, and she has always been unable to withstand teasing, let alone facing someone she likes now. "What, Yue, are you sorry?" Guangling said deliberately. He hugged him tighter and let Jinrinayu get closer to him. He felt Jinrinayu's beating hard and said with a smile, "Oh, someone is embarrassed." Repeating the embarrassing words again, Jinrinayu couldn't help puffing up her cheeks angrily after listening to it. She frowned, and at this moment she just wanted to punch this green tea-flavored Guangling. To be honest, if someone wanted to beat him up now, she would definitely not stop him. Moreover, not only will she not stop him, but she will also join in. As long as the person does not die, no matter what the outcome is, it will be fine. In short, vent your anger first, and talk about the rest. Sensing that the person in his arms was full of resentment, Guangling smiled heartlessly, which was regarded as regaining the place where Jinrinayu had teased him just now. He hugged the little girl in his arms and suddenly softened, sounding good and angry. He said, "Good Yue, don't be angry, it's just a joke. When I go back later, can I buy you something delicious?" "Not good." Jinrinayu gave him a blank look, and just wanted to break free from his embrace. Guangling realized that she would not let go, and seeing that the delicious food could not be bought, he acted curtly to Jinrinayu again. "Oh, Xiao Wu, don't be angry now. Is there anything we can discuss? If you have any ideas, you can tell me. As long as I can do it, I will definitely not refuse." "Okay, not good." Without even thinking about it, Jinrinayu resolutely refused. "Hurry up and let go, or I will be even angrier." "Oops, really angry?" Guangling pursed her lips, and suddenly remembered the clever tricks to coax girls that she had read in the picture book. That move should work for Xiao Wu. Right, hurry up and let go. Jinrinayu glared at Guangling. Perhaps because of this, he didn't hesitate anymore, kissed Jinrinayu directly, and gagged her mouth. Kracha. End of this chapter. Chapter 103. Lonely Man and Widow. There must be a problem. The moment Guangling kissed Jinrinayu, Jinrinayu's eyes widened, and her eyes were full of disbelief before she had time to push it away. The little phoenix in her body asserted to activate her soul power, and the branches above their heads began to break, and fell down in a short while. Even if he closed his eyes, Guangling's sensitivity did not weaken. He turned around with Jinrinayu in his arms, and the two teleported to another tree. He pressed Jinrinayu against a trunk, and kissed her greedily of lips. Jinrinayu's body softened, and her waist was firmly locked by Guangling. The sweet taste spread into her throat. She slowly closed her eyes and hugged Guangling's neck. Guangling bowed so that she could reach him more easily. The two kissed passionately, but they didn't treat Little Phoenix as an outsider at all. Little Phoenix, both Q. By the time Jinrinayu and Guangling returned to Wuhan Hall, it was already the next day. King Lun squatted in the Angel Hall all night, but he didn't wait for the two of them to come back. In the middle of the night, he called Jiu Lan went out to look for these two together, but it was not easy to find those who had no brains, so in the end, under Jiu Lan's suggestion, he returned to the Temple of Angels and chose to stay. His complexion looked extremely bad. Grandpa King Lun. Jinrinayu opened her eyes slightly, only then remembered that King Lun was still waiting for her and Guangling in the Wuhan Hall. "Ah," King Lun replied in a deep voice, and didn't give Jinrinayu any bad looks. He turned his head to look at Guangling, and immediately lowered his face. The word unhappy was already written on his face. "You abduct your own cabbage and stay out all night." Guangling pursed her lips lightly, subconsciously dodging King Lun's gaze. In fact, he wanted to come back a long time ago, but who knows that there will be an accident in the middle, and he is not an abstinent person. He finally managed to kiss again, so he didn't want to give up just like that, so the time took a little longer. The sweet taste still lingered on her lips. Guangling couldn't help but lick it and savor it, completely ignoring King Lun. And after working with Guangling for so many years, King Lun still doesn't understand Guangling's temperament. He frowned slightly, grabbed Guangling and asked, "Old Five, what did you do?" The memory was suddenly interrupted. Guangling raised his eyes and looked at King Lun. He didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. He shrugged and said calmly, "It's nothing. I just met Tang Hao on the way, so I and Yue took a while to figure it out." Tang Hao, Qinglun's brows furrowed even more tightly. "Why didn't you send the news back? You finally found that bastard, but you didn't notify him?" "It's too late, third brother," Guangling said. "That guy is like a mouse, running very fast. If I and Yue caught him outside Yurxun, they couldn't do it with a big fanfare and prepare to blow him out. If Xiandao City intercepts and kills again, who would have thought that he would sacrifice an arm in exchange for his own life? This is indeed my carelessness." Qinglun looked at Jin Renai, as if seeking proof. Jin Renai nodded and explained, "That guy is really fast, but it's not a loss to cut off his arm at this time. After all, there is a 7-year-old spirit bone on it." Qinglun is speechless, since Jin Renai has said so. He naturally has nothing else to say. Soul bones are relatively rare in the entire system, and a 7-year-old piece can burst out of Tang Hao. If it is true, come on, it's really not a bad loss. Seeing that Qinglun was silent, Guangling just wanted to quickly end the topic, so he suggested aloud, "Third brother, I see that you haven't slept all night. Why don't you catch up on sleep?" "Do you think I need to catch up on sleep?" Qinglun squinted at Guangling, seemingly expressionless, but in fact it seemed to explain everything with expression. "Love makes up or not." Guangling twisted his mouth and muttered he knew that this was Qinglun's inner feelings for him, but he didn't care. He just thought it was Qinglun saying that grapes were sour because he couldn't eat grapes, and envied him for having a cute and lovely girlfriend. Guangling thought this and felt better again seeing this. Jin Renai finally understood why Guangling had the best skin in the entire enshrinement hall. Sure enough, he was happy to make people angry, laughing and joking. If his skin is not good, it would be too much for God. Sighing slightly, Jin Renai said to Qinglun, "Grandpa Qinglun, don't argue with him. I'm going to leave for Haoshan Sec tomorrow. I have other things to do today. Why don't you go and make up for it? Catch up on sleep. It is good." Qinglun nodded without any hesitation. "Guangling, are you discriminating against him?" After seeing Qinglun away, Jin Renai looked at Guangling. "You should make people less angry in the future." After saying that, she went straight to her room. "Hey, no." Guangling followed her, subconsciously trying to grab her hand, but Jin Renai avoided her. "You want to be beaten, right?" she whispered. "This is the Angel Palace. You are so blatant in the Angel Palace. Are you really not afraid that someone will see you and report it to Jin Daoliu?" "Oh, brother is not here now. Yue, I want to hug you." Guangling leaned forward, and before he could say the following, Jiulan suddenly appeared in front of them. Guangling kept looking at Jin Renai, so he didn't pay attention to the person who appeared suddenly. When he saw it, the man said and quickly took a few steps back. "Who is this?" Guangling said a little nervously. He never remembers people, especially women. Looking Jiulan up and down, he felt that this woman looked familiar. Where did he seem to have seen it? "Young master, 5 offerings." Jiulan didn't expect that she would scare Guangling, so she saluted Guangling apologetically, and then looked at Jin Renai. Jin Renai glanced at Guangling speechlessly. "Speaking of Ling, can you remember someone? I just introduced this person to you yesterday, and you forgot about it today." Yesterday? There was only one thing in Guangling's mind yesterday. How could she accommodate Jiulan? But after Jiulan called out Jin Renai's young master, he remembered who she was. It's just that he really can't remember her name. "Remember now, what's her name?" Guangling asked innocently. "Jiulan, 5 offerings. My name is Jiulan." "Oh, remember, Jiulan." Guangling took a rare look at her. "Are you also a branch of the Nine-Petal Immortal Lotus?" "Lu Yaxin knows you." "I'm not, but I know Yaxin," Jiulan replied truthfully. "Oh, so you've been staying here, haven't you?" Guangling didn't know what he was thinking of, and he asked inexplicably. Jiulan nodded honestly. Not realizing Guangling's point at this time, Jin Renai looked at Guangling. "What do you want to ask?" Guangling leaned against Jin Renai's ear, and said secretly, "Didn't the big bluebird squad here all night last night? Jiulan is also here, lonely man and widow. They may have a problem." "I see that you have a problem." End of this chapter. Chapter 104. Martial soul can transform 3 senses. After being scolded by Jin Renai, Guangling gave up the immature idea in her heart. Jin Renai really couldn't imagine how Guangling could think of Jiulan and Qinglun together. The two of them couldn't match each other, and they didn't know each other before, so they could force them together? Crazy? After driving Guangling out of her room, Jin Renai sat on the sofa and looked at Jiulan in front of her, and suddenly felt that her appearance made her play. Should have found a container, Jin Renai thought. So seeing this, Jiulan couldn't help touching her face. "Young master, is there something on my face?" "No." Jin Renai waved her hand and lowered her eyes. She didn't know what she was thinking in her heart. "You can go to Haoshan sect with me tomorrow, okay?" Jiu Lan nodded without saying anything. Jiulin is not only very important to Tang Hao, but also to Tang Xiao. I don't know what kind of expression Tang Xiao will have when he sees Jiulin tomorrow. Thinking of this, Jin Renai couldn't help but slightly raise the corners of her mouth, suddenly looking forward to tomorrow's show. "Little lord," Lu Yaxin's voice sounded then. A green light turned into human form in front of Jin Renai and Jiu Lan before Guangling was kicked out of the room. Jin Renai tore off his soul guide device. Guangling was very helpless about this, but his girlfriend could only get used to it. Happily went to find Qingluan. "Yazin." Jiu Lan looked at Lu Yaxin and smiled slightly. Finally, someone came out to accompany her. Lu Yaxin nodded in greeting without saying anything else. She looked at Jin Renai and said, "Young master wants to ask your subordinates about spiritual patterns, right?" "Yes." Jin Renai nodded in response and motioned for her to say. A few days ago, Lu Yaxin mentioned to her about the spirit pattern, but that was just a brief mention, and she didn't know many things yet. In addition, before she had time to look at the spirit patterns on her body, Guangling suddenly appeared and bumped into her, so she didn't know whether her spirit patterns were the same as Lu Yaxin's. What she wanted to determine was what this spirit pattern was. "The spirit pattern on my body was sent down by the master to protect my damaged soul. The one on you, young master, is very different from the one on your subordinates. The spirit pattern on my body is only for defense, but the spirit pattern on your body can strengthen one's own soul power, allowing one's own soul power to increase 2% within a period of time." When the spirit patterns first appeared, Lu Yaxin noticed it. She originally thought that Jin Renai's spirit patterns would be the same as Jiu Xiner's, but she noticed something was different. At that time, in the Xiandao Palace, there were many. It's not easy for her to speak out when people are present. After that, she had to deal with that Jiu Xia gang, so she didn't have time to mention it to Jin Renai. Now there are no outsiders here, and she will not deliberately conceal Jin Renai. If the young master wants to know about the spirit pattern, he can only go to the core area of the Sunset Forest, where the young master will get all the answers. It's the core area of Sunset Forest. Again Jin Renai pursed her lips, and lay down on the sofa. The next moment, she looked up at the ceiling and said lightly, "According to what you said before, because I have half human blood, the spirit lines on my body will not directly, but Yaxin, I don't think the spirit pattern is that simple." Lu Yaxin was stunned for a moment, then suddenly smiled. "Young master is very smart. The matter of spiritual patterns is indeed not that simple. Once the spiritual patterns on young master's body are activated once, they will always exist. Young master can choose whether to go or not. Practice it, practice spirit patterns." "Yes," Lu Yaxin answered truthfully. The reason why the Lord was able to control the spirit pattern independently was not just because she was a pure soul beast, but because her martial spirit was the complete form of the Nine-Petal Immortal Lotus. "Perfect body? What do you mean?" Jin Renai straightened up suddenly and looked at Lu Yaxin with confusion in her eyes. At the same time, Jiu Lan also looked at Lu Yaxin. She felt that Jin Renai's martial spirit was already a very special existence. She didn't expect that it was not complete yet, which was really surprising. Lu Yaxin and Jin Renai looked at each other, and she explained, "The Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus of the Lord's bloodline has 3 awakenings. The first awakening is an ordinary lotus, the second awakening is a Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus, and the third awakening is a Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus. Petal Fairy Lotus, Spirit Pattern. Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus is the final form of the Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus martial soul, but this is not recorded in the books of the Soul Master world. After all, no one else in the entire Douluo Continent has awakened this martial soul. In addition, after evolving to full body, the 9 petals of the Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus can absorb 9 additional soul rings with no age limit on the body, which is almost equivalent to twin martial souls of the same type. 6. Jin Renai twitched her eyebrows and could only use this word to express her current mood. "What are the conditions for the third awakening?" she asked. After knowing that her mother was not simple, Jin Renai did not think that she would ever be simple. Like the incident about Sanju, Jiulin was surprised after hearing this and her eyes widened. But for Jin Renai, the soul thing may not be that simple. She doesn't think that her mother is just a simple soul beast, and her father is probably not a good person. Otherwise why would Jiuxiner hide her in the core area of Sunset Forest, and why would he choose to entrust her to a yin instead of the Xiandao royal family? There must be other reasons for this. Facing Jin Renai's question, Liu Yaxin was silent for a while, and then said lightly, "Transformation, metamorphosis." Liu Yaxin lowered her eyes. "My lord's main body is the spirit pattern Nine-Petal Fairy Lotus, so she doesn't need to undergo transformation, but she mentioned to me about the 3 awakenings. Perhaps she has long expected such a day. The so-called metamorphosis is actually the shattering of the martial soul in its reassembly. The martial spirit is broken." Jiu Lan exclaimed in surprise. "That's so painful." Liu Yaxin, the young master, has already embodied the spirit pattern. If you want to achieve the 3 senses, you need to practice the spirit pattern. After the spirit pattern reaches the mature stage, you can choose whether to transform or not, but the transformation will be very risky. The success rate is not high. According to the master's prediction, it is about 40.00%, only about 40.00%, Nine Blue exclaimed. "The success rate is a bit too low." Metamorphosis, martial soul shattered, regroup, success rate 40.00%. Jinru Nine narrowed her eyes slightly. According to the particularity of the Sanju martial soul, the 40.00% transformation probability is actually not too low. That is, what happens if the metamorphosis fails? If the transformation fails, the martial soul will be shattered, the soul power will be cleared, and it may even become a disabled person. End of this chapter. Chapter 105 Tang Yue and number 039, Scrying. After leaving the Angel Hall, Guangling went directly to the Qinglun Hall, perhaps because he expected Guangling to come to him. Qinglun did not stay in Qinglun Hall to catch up on his sleep. Guangling went to the Hall of Lions after searching to no avail in the yard. The peach blossom trees were bare, and after Guangling came, it looked even more desolate. A coldness swish. Big Lion. Guangling swaggered into the main hall of the Lion Palace. The Lion Douluo was making tea at the moment. When he heard the word Big Lion, the tea in his hand couldn't help shaking and almost spilled. What a mess, what a big lion. Lao Wu is getting more and more drifting now. Lion Douluo's face darkened, and in this little free time, Guangling walked up to him. "Oh, fourth brother, you are making tea." He casually picked up a cup of brewed tea and took a sip. "It's really good," Guangling praised. As expected of the tea from fourth brother's place, the taste is just different. The tree outside is also different, much prettier than the old man's. "Okay, don't flatter me. If you want money, you will die." Lion Douluo interrupted Guangling's words. He didn't want to hear Guangling boasting about every plant and tree here. Every time he praised, he had to take several bags of gold soul coins from him. After finally saving so many bags of gold soul coins, Guangling left them all before he could use them. What a big resentment. Seeing this, Guangling couldn't help laughing and said, "Oh, fourth brother, I'm not here to ask for money today. There are no important people." Lion Douluo retorted without hesitation. As soon as he heard Guangling happily call him fourth brother, he knew that nothing good would happen, so he naturally didn't want to listen to the next words. Gave him a bit. "Hey, fourth brother, don't be so stingy. Didn't you just take a few bags of gold soul coins from you, and those gold soul coins were all used by you here, so it's not a waste, is it?" Guangling sat down opposite Lion Douluo. He looked at Lion Douluo with a smile, and his calculation almost hit Lion Douluo's face. Lion Douluo felt very speechless. He put down the tea cup in his hand and said, "Old Wu, if you have something to say, just tell me. Don't always use UIU to cover up." "Hey," Guangling shook his head and said, "Actually, I just want to find the big blue bird." "Fourth brother, is the big blue bird here with you?" "Third brother," Lion Douluo frowned slightly, "isn't he with you?" "Ah. He didn't come to your place," Guangling pouted, a little unbelievable. "He left the Angel Palace early this morning. I went to Qinglun Palace to look for someone, but couldn't find him. I can't say that he went to Bangzi." "Brother, is that over? Maybe I really went to Lao Liu and Lao Qi's place," Lion Douluo said seriously. "Oh." Guangling didn't ask any further questions. He thought for a while, then stood up and said, "Then I'll go find Brother Bangzi." "Well, don't send it." Lion Douluo wished to send this little hapless bastard away quickly. In the entire Wuhan temple, he was the most noisy. Yu, who was still a child, was not as noisy as him. Sure enough, girls were cuter. Before leaving, Guangling carefully looked at Lion Douluo's tea table and his expression. Based on his understanding of Lion Douluo, he would only prepare extra tea cups if guests came, and now, there are 3 cups on the table if Qinglun didn't come here. He would never believe it. Guangling curled her lips. A little unhappy it seemed that Qinglun was avoiding him on purpose, spreading the ice wings. Guangling flew directly away from the Lion Palace. There is no big bluebird to play with him, so he can go to Brother Bangzi to play. It just so happens that Jiang Mo destroyed his Light Feather Palace last time, and today he has to destroy Jiang Mo's Jiang Mo Palace too. Heaven Dao Palace main hall sandalwood overflowed, and outside the screen, Tang Yue stood in the hall crying. She cried out what she had experienced yesterday, every word of which was full of grievances. She just wanted Emperor Ziya to make the decision for her, and just today, Ning Fengzi, who is the prince's teacher, came to Xiandao Palace, and the Prince Zhu King was also there behind the screen. Emperor Ziya sat on the bed. He had white hair, sunken eyes, and his skin seemed to be aging rapidly, giving people a sickly feeling. But at this time, after listening to what Tang Yue said, his face clearly changed. It became ugly. Tang Yue was the master of Yuxuan, and Yuxuan belonged to the Heaven Dao Palace. Emperor Zhu never expected that someone would dare to take action against Tang Yue. This would be too disrespectful to their Heaven Dao Empire. Where did this little girl come from, and what's her name? Emperor Zhu's voice was already in a state of lack of energy. Even though he was very angry now, his voice was still a little weak. Tang Yue listened, and quickly replied, "It's the girl from the Wuhan Palace. Her name is Jinrenyu, Martial Soul Hall." Emperor Zhu said in a deep voice, "Wuhan Palace." The Wuhan Palace is independent of the Xiandao Empire and the Star Luo Empire. Their total number of title Douluo is much more than that of the two empires, not to mention the 7 mysterious enshrinements in it. Thinking of this, Emperor Zhu couldn't help feeling a little tricky. Jinrenyu. A girl from the Jin family. Zhu King squinted, just looking at Emperor Zhu like this. The corners of his lips raised slightly. The range was very small, and no one could see his movements, and Ning Fengzi was also slightly taken aback when he heard Jinrenyu's name. He was a little surprised, but he didn't show it. He just frowned and thought about why Jinrenyu wanted to attack Tang Yue. If this matter is investigated further, I am afraid that it will also implicate their 7 treasures glazed sect after all. Jinrenyu was Sword Dao Luo Chengxin's apprentice. Thinking of this, Ning Fengzi suddenly felt a little troubled. The palace was quiet for a long time. Everyone was thinking about their own interests, only Zhu King. He was not in a hurry, nor worried about Jinrenyu's situation. With Jinrenyu's current status, even if she was walking sideways in Xiandao Palace, Emperor Zhu would actually not do anything to her, let alone wait for Emperor Zhu to know her identity. Now Emperor Zhu is leaning towards Tang Yue, but in the future, it may not be so. I understand. Yue, step back first. I will handle this matter properly, and I will give you a satisfactory answer. Okay, thank you, Your Majesty. Tang Yue bowed and stepped back after the people left. Emperor Zhu looked at Zhu King. I heard, is that your righteous sister? The tone is neither salty nor bland, making it difficult for people to understand why. Yes, Zhu King answered with a nod. His expression was gentle. Emperor Zhu looked at him, but he couldn't see anything. Expel her from the Xiandao Royal Academy, and return all the things obtained in the Xiandao Royal Academy, Emperor Zhu calmly ordered. In addition, she is prohibited from entering the Xiandao Empire. As long as she breaks in, she will be killed without mercy. Father, Zhu King bowed, as if he wanted to say something, but Emperor Zhu did not want to give him this chance. Do as I say. Zhu King gave him a smile. Yes, don't regret it later. Chapter 106 Kindness to Exam Time. The news of expulsion soon spread to Xiandao Royal Academy, and Du Yuyan and the others were very surprised when they learned about it. Jinrenyu just didn't report on time. How could she be expelled from school? Yu Xianheng felt something was wrong, so he sent someone to investigate. As a result, the entry of Jinrenyu has been completely banned in the Xiandao Empire, and the ban has been issued, and only the streets are filled with notices to publicize this person's appearance. Zhu Ke asked for leave and went back to Xiandao Palace as soon as she learned about this matter. She never thought that Tang Yue would secretly go to see Emperor Zhu by herself, nor did she think that her elder brother would not say a word. Jinrenyu said, this matter is simply messing around, and Jinrenyu, who is in the Wuhan Palace, received a letter from Zhu King without any surprise. The content of the letter was very simple. It wrote about a ban issued by Emperor Zhu. Tang Yue's inversion of black and white. The Angel Palace was always silent at night. The sky was full of stars, and the bright moonlight shone down, making Jinrenyu's skin even whiter. She stood in front of the window, and after reading the letter, she couldn't help but raise her eyebrows slightly. Handing the letter to Jiayulan behind her, she looked at Guangling, who was still sulking after being captured by Jiang Mo and Jinjun. Ling, there's bad news. she said. Jiu Lan glanced at the letter, opened her eyes slightly. Young master, today, Guangling went to Jiangmo Temple to find something, but he ran into Qianjin there. There is no doubt that he would not be able to beat the two brothers together. Being bumped into by Jinrinyu, the scene was very embarrassing for a while, and Jiangmo Qianjin didn't know what the relationship between the two was, so he didn't save any face for Guangling. Guangling was angry for a long time, and didn't eat dinner, just sat on the stool, full of resentment. What bad news? But anger is anger. But no matter what Jinrinyu said, he would still answer well, but the tone was not as good as usual. But Jinrinyu didn't bother with him, and just said, Tang Yue went to the palace early in the morning to report to Emperor Zuyu that I hung her from the tree, and Emperor Zuyu has already issued a ban at this moment, prohibiting me from entering the territory of the Heaven Dao Empire. What? After hearing this, Guangling couldn't help frowning. No, is he sick? What Zuke said is still ringing in my ears. Now that Emperor Zuyu is doing this, is he looking for something to do when he has nothing to do? It's just a ban, it's not a big deal, just fly over. Jinrinyu said the only bad thing is that she can't see Du Yuan and the others, and Tang San's whereabouts are still unclear, probably in Xiandao City. This matter can only be left to Princess Zuke to solve. Anyway, whatever it wasn't a bad thing for her, that's what I say, but that old boy is really sick. Yue, are you going to see him again? Guangling asked. Of course I'm going, Jinrinyu said. Some things only he can give me the answer to, but now I don't need to take the initiative, just wait for him to send someone to invite me. After Guangling listened, she didn't say anything. It was as if this matter was within Jinrinyu's expectation. I'm going to enter the kindness secret realm to pass the second test tonight, so Aling, you can sleep alone. Jinrinyu's room is the largest room in the entire Angel Palace. There is a 2-meter bed, a row of leather sofas, 2 reclining chairs, a few tables and a few chaise longues. There are places where people can sleep. Jiu Lan was arranged by Jinrinyu to rest on the imperial concubine's couch, while Liu Yaxin was in front of the French windows. As for why Liu Yaxin was placed in front of the French windows, it was because the spirit patterns on her body needed to absorb the moonlight to maintain them, so Jinrinyu found a good place for her to lie on her stomach. As for Guangling, he was just an accident. If he hadn't been insisting on staying with her today, she would have kicked him out long ago. What if I don't sleep tonight? Guangling protested. Tomorrow is a long journey, you must rest well. After entering the secret realm of kindness, my body functions are resting. You don't have to worry about this. No, I'm worried, very worried. I just won't let you sleep. Guangling immediately spoke out, with a childish air. It's useless for you, the decision is in my hands. Jinrinyu doesn't like him either. There are only a little more than 2 months left before the second test of kindness is over. If she delays any longer, I'm afraid she will have to stay up all day and all night in order not to catch up on homework in the last few days. Jinrinyu decided that it would be better to complete a little progress in one day, so as not to have the same time as when she was in compulsory education. As soon as school started, she started rushing to catch up, which was very uncomfortable. Seeing that Jinrinyu was unmoved, Guangling didn't say anything further. It was related to the divine test, so of course he would not force Jinrinyu to rest. That is, without Jinrinyu by his side, he didn't really want to sleep. Pouted, Guangling watched the divine light flashing between Jinrinyu's forehead, and after a while, Jinrinyu entered the secret realm of kindness. It was a pure white world, not stained with dust. Entering the world in Jinrinyu finally, a square black brick suddenly appeared under her feet, and at the same time as the black brick appeared, the other 9 colored bricks appeared in front of her. According to the God of Kindness, the content of the second test is a total of 9 levels, and these 9 colored bricks should represent the 9 levels. Stepping on the first square brick, the scene around Jinrinyu suddenly changed at an extremely fast speed. The first square brick was green, which represented vitality and the forest. Therefore, after a while, Jinrinyu appeared in a strange forest. Is it an illusion? She looked around and murmured. It was night at this time. The forest was extremely quiet, and the cool breeze was blowing lightly, which made Jinrinyu feel flustered. At this time, a green fluorescent light suddenly appeared above Jinrinyu's head. Jinrinyu didn't notice that the fluorescent light bloomed and turned into little stars and fell into Jinrinyu's brain and limbs. Moment, there was a sharp pain in Jinrinyu's brain. She frowned and stretched out her hands to support her temples. She felt that the world was spinning in front of her eyes, her limbs softened, and her body began to fall slightly. At the moment when she couldn't stand still, She felt the external spirit bone behind her suddenly opened on its own and stabilized her body. Master. Hold your breath and concentrate. Don't be affected by it. Those things are used to restrain people's spiritual power. Once it is eroded, the consequences will be disastrous. Little Phoenix spoke seriously, and quickly activated the soul power in Jinrinyu's body to temporarily restore her clarity. Jinrinyu frowned, and received the soul power from the Little Phoenix, and then followed the steps that the Little Phoenix said, but at this moment, a huge roar suddenly came from all around the forest. Boom! Chapter 107 The Second Martial Spirit, the Staff of Kindness. Master! Get out of here! Little Phoenix's eager voice sounded. From all directions, the roar hurt Jinrinyu's eardrums. Jinrinyu frowned and subconsciously reached out to cover her ears. She clicked her tongue softly, and the clarity in her head that had just returned became cloudy again. Susu! The roar pierced through the leaves, and suddenly hit Jinrinyu. Those are green moon blades. This time, a wind chime suddenly sounded in Jinrinyu's ear. Under the sound of the wind chimes, they are like sound waves, constantly changing in the air, arrows, daggers, blades, one after another. Jinrinyu fixed her eyes, and the aura from her right eye emanated. She subconsciously wanted to dodge these attacks, but her body's slowness made her very weak. The arrow grazed her shoulder, leaving a trace of blood, and the dagger scratched her his waist. His clothes were torn, and a bloody mouth appeared on his waist. The blade flew past his neck. Jinrinyu slowly dodged, and the collarbone and the upper and lower areas were all scratched open. Owner? Little Phoenix was very anxious inside Jinrinyu's body. If it weren't for the fact that it couldn't go out to help now, it would definitely teach Jinrinyu a lesson for that bastard who sent out sonic waves. How could its owner be so good looking, with so many scratches? Is it a spiritual test? After the red breath in her right eye emitted to a large extent, Jinrinyu could barely control her body. Green vine. A soft whip appeared in his hand. Jinrinyu flung out the green vine and entwined it on the branch. The sound of the wind chime was heard endlessly. The next moment, countless blades shot out from another direction. Those blades seemed to have something on them. Jinrinyu, the injured part of her now started to go numb. She forced herself to wake up, pulled the green vine hard, and let herself go to another tree. The blade missed and all hit the tree trunk. The sound of wind chimes came from all directions, as did the roars. Jinrinyu couldn't tell which voice was controlling these weapons, or perhaps it was two voices assisting each other. She flew up into the sky, wanting to find out what was going on, but found that a barrier had been set up in the sky. As soon as she flew a little higher, she was knocked down by the barrier, so she had no choice but to give up the idea. Can you find its exact location? Jinrinyu asked with a frown. She dodged attacks from all sides. Her limbs were still a little sluggish, but it was much better than before. There are more and more wounds on the body, and Little Phoenix is also anxious. No, I am only in the spirit state now, and there is no way to sense where it is. Master, you have already suffered a lot of injuries. If it doesn't work, just give up. Little Phoenix thought about it, but didn't say anything. It looked distressed at the floating threads in Jinrinyu's body, with slightly complicated eyes. Tell me where those weapons are. Jinrinyu panted. Boo! Several moon blades appeared again, and they attacked Jinrinyu from all sides. Jinrinyu frowned, immediately retracted the green vine, and summoned the Silver Frost Sword. The Silver Frost Sword has a very special icy aura. It cooperates with the extreme ice of the Ice Phoenix wings to freeze the entire air. At the same time, Jinrinyu dropped the Silver Frost Sword and stuck it in the ground. In the middle of the day, frost formed on the ground. And in a short while, the entire forest was covered with ice. The flowers, plants and trees were all covered with frost, and the movements of those moonblades also slowed down suddenly. That is, at the moment when Urin's movement slowed down. Through Jinrinyu's eyes, Little Phoenix suddenly saw through the special nature of Urin. That is, Little Phoenix opened his eyes, slightly surprised. Master, catch them, they are the essence of those things. From the Little Phoenix's point of view, Moonblade exudes the power of a soul beast, which is a force with vitality. If it guesses correctly, they are the guardian beasts of this fantasy forest. Jinrinyu's mental power was affected, and she was trapped in an illusion, so she couldn't see through the nature of those moonblades. Okay, got it, Jinrinyu answered, and immediately flew towards the moonblades. She stretched out her hand and grabbed one of the moonblades with her palm, but found that the next moment the moonblade left her hand, and her palm was cut by the moonblade, and blood oozed out. Jinrinyu looked at her injured palm, her eyes widened, and she was very surprised. How come? She murmured. Suddenly, there was a splitting pain in her back. Well, Jin Renayu's body trembled. She turned her head subconsciously, and found that the remaining few moon blades had quietly changed direction. And the moon blade that split her palm attacked her back again, and was floating in the air. It seems to be the leader of several other moon blades. Seeing this, Little Phoenix was also very surprised, but immediately, it showed a serious face and said, "Master, your mental strength has weakened. I don't know when it happened." Even Jin Renayu didn't realize it. She seemed to have fallen into an illusion that weakened her mental power infinitely. Tisk. Jin Renayu gritted her teeth, feeling a little unhappy. Her reaction has not become slower, but there are always visual errors, which is why she missed just now and was even injured. There are more and more wounds on her body. If she can't find a way to break through, these injuries will be in vain. Jin Renayu frowned, not reconciled to being injured in vain. She clenched her fists, and a sacred and powerful wave suddenly appeared around her body aura. It was a breath like a white lotus, and the little phoenix widened his eyes when he heard it. Second martial spirit. After staying in Jin Renayu's body for so long, this is the first time for little phoenix to know that his master is actually twin martial souls. And it's just that they are twin martial spirits, but the aura of this second martial spirit is. I saw the fine silver lines on Jin Renayu's forehead transformed into golden lines in an instant, and the golden lines expanded and spread to Jin Renayu's whole body. For a moment, a little bit of starlight appeared around her body, and those starlights gathered on Jin Renayu's body. In the palm of his left hand, a staff with a height of 150 centimeters was formed. The staff was gleaming with golden light, but its whole body was light red and white. The most eye-catching thing among them was the dazzling heart-shaped orb on the staff. This is. Little Phoenix was stunned. The moment the staff of kindness appeared, the atmosphere of the entire forest changed. The atmosphere of the moon blades was slightly suppressed, but this suppression was not enough to shake their movements. The wind chimes rang, and they moved toward them again. Jin Renayu launched an attack. A green shadow came into view. Jin Renayu waved a staff in her hand, and a black halo suddenly appeared on the soles of her feet. The first soul skill, good at attracting nothingness. End of this chapter. Chapter 108. That girl Renayu 1 and number 039, to be proud for long. A little bit of golden light fell from the staff, and the golden light turned into golden threads and surrounded Jin Renayu's back, and her body began to become illusory and hidden under the golden threads. The moon blades from 4 directions pierced through her body, but Jin Renayu was unscathed. The moon blades began to become a little irritable. Like a void, no matter how much power they use, they can never hurt her, and Jin Renayu also took advantage of this opportunity to grab one of the moon blades. After the moon blade was caught, it couldn't move at all, and couldn't break free. Jin Renayu's Binglian's right arm soul bone has an extremely strong freezing ability. When she grasps the moon blade, she releases the icy aura. The moon blade seems to be welded in her hand, and there is no chance of escaping. She held the staff of kindness in her left hand and the moon blade in her right hand. Jin Renayu's eyes exuded a faint blue breath and red breath. She clenched her palm and squeezed hard, and the moon blade in her hand suddenly broke and dissipated in front of her eyes. I'll go. It turns out that the master still has such a strong second martial spirit. Little Phoenix couldn't help but tremble inside Jin Renayu's body. It swallowed. Even through a body, it could still feel the power of Jin Renayu's second martial soul avoid skill, to make her body virtual. No one can hurt, but she can touch others, and can also attack. This is unavoidable. Is it too perverted? While the little phoenix was complaining, Jin Renayu quickly took the other moon blades in his hands and smashed them. When he reached the last one, the roar in the forest suddenly sounded. Boom! The powerful sound waves blew up the leaves of the forest, and the emerald green leaves all over the sky flew down. They fell and passed through Jin Renayu's body. The moon blade in Jin Renayu's hand disappeared into the air. At the same time, in Jin Renayu's hand, in front of Yu's eyes, a huge evil beast appeared, covering the entire forest. Heaven Dao Empire Yuan Tang Yue returned to her residence after receiving a satisfactory answer from Emperor Zhu Yi. I have to say that she was really happy and in a much better mood. Jin Renayu was banned from entering the territory of the Heaven Dao Empire, so naturally no one could hurt Tang San in the future, but a tiger is still a tiger. If they don't find a way to solve it, it will only cause bigger troubles in the future. Thinking of this, Tang Yue couldn't help frowning. For now, Tang San is indeed a little safer, and she can be regarded as fulfilling Tang Hao's entrustment, but she always had an ominous premonition. After all, that girl Jin Renayu's identity is not just the second lady of Wuhan Palace. She is also the righteous sister of Prince Zhu King. As far as she knew, Prince King once summoned that girl to the prince's bedroom to speak, and this alone is enough to prove that the relationship between the two is not simple. Now Prince King is submissive to Emperor Zui on the surface, but that doesn't mean he has other ideas in his heart. No, she must think of other ways to protect Tang San. She must not let her second brother's only blood die in the hands of that girl. But when thinking of Tang Hao, Tang Yue felt a little worried. I don't know how the second brother is doing now, she murmured, and, at this time, Tang San walked out of the back room. His face was haggard, his speech was weak, and he still stumbled when he walked. It looked like he had just woken up. Little San, why did you get out of bed? Tang Yue hurried forward to support him, with a worried face. When Tang Hao brought Tang San to Yuxuan, Tang San was in a sober state, but said that he was seriously injured, and he kept asking about Yu Ziagang's whereabouts, so Tang Hao knocked him out. Yes, before that, Tang Hao introduced Tang Yue and Tang San to each other. It was also at this time that Tang San knew that he had other relatives, and also knew that his father was from the Clear Sky School, and that he was also from the Clear Sky School bloodline. Auntie, where's my father? Tang San grabbed Tang Yue's hand and asked with a frown. From Tang Hao's silence, Tang San actually got the answer, but he didn't believe that his father would leave someone so good to him. Second brother Tang Yue looked at Tang San, her eyes full of heartache. She reached out and stroked the broken hair between Tang San's forehead, and softly comforted him. Second brother has more important things to do. Xiao San, you need to take care of yourself with my aunt first. Body, as long as aunt is here, no one can do anything to you. Aunt will protect you and treat you as her own son. Dad is gone. Tang San opened his eyes slightly, as if he had never expected such a situation. Tang Yue didn't answer. She opened the noble domain, and the aura emanating from her body quickly calmed Tang San's restless heart. Xiao, listen to your aunt and recover from your injuries first. When you recover from your injuries, your aunt will send someone to take you back to Shrek Academy. What Tang Yue said was all at the behest of Tang Hao. She didn't know where the Shrek Academy was, and she asked someone to go out to inquire about it because she was free today. It's just that she hasn't gotten any information yet. Hearing Tang Yue's words, Tang San's heart that had just calmed down became agitated again. He looked at Tang Yue, frowned and begged, Auntie, can you help me find someone? Who are you looking for? Tang Yue asked. Yu Ziagang, Tang San said anxiously. He is my teacher. He was seriously injured in Sunset Forest. Dad didn't bring him here with him. I'm worried that something will happen to him. Tang San was worried when he thought of Yu Ziagang's injuries. Although Yu Ziagang is a soul master, he is only a level 29 Great Soul Master. A seriously injured Great Soul Master was abandoned in the Sunset Forest. Is there any way to survive? Even though Tang San thought of this, he still wanted to believe that Yu Ziagang was still alive, just like when he believed his sister was still alive. As soon as Tang San in a restless state thought of Jinrinyu, a killing intent flashed in his eyes. His eyes were flushed, and he couldn't forgive what Jinrinyu did in front of him at all. Jinrinyu, I must make you pay the price. Tang Yue looked at Tang San, slightly surprised. She never thought that her noble domain could not suppress Tang San's killing intent. Little San, she called softly, calm down first. Hearing the sound, Tang San exchanged a glance with Tang Yue, but he never restrained his killing intent. She hurt the teacher. I won't let her go. Tang Yue knew who she was in Tang San's mouth. She patted Tang San's shoulder, and comforted her. Don't worry, little San. Now that Emperor Zui has issued an order to forbid that girl from entering the Heaven Dao Empire, we have a bright future, and that girl won't be proud for long. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109. Liu Erlong and Flender are blacklisted. If the Haotian sect hadn't been closed down, she wouldn't have had to go to Emperor Zui to seek justice. After all, the reason why Jinrinyu can stand on top of them now is because she bullies them and has no backup. If there can be a strong person in the Clear Sky School to lead the Clear Sky School back out of the mountain, then what is Jinrinyu? What is Wu Hundian? These are not things at all. Tang Hao said this to Tang Yue, and he told everything about his plan. Although Tang Yue didn't agree with it at first, after experiencing the humiliation of being hung on a tree, she suddenly understood Tang Hao's mood. Some things must be avenged. Tang San had twin martial souls and was innately full of soul power. At this moment, Tang Yue and Tang Hao both believed that Tang San would become a strong man sooner or later, return to the Haotian sect, and lead the Haotian sect to re-emerge, forbidden to enter the Heaven Dao Empire. Tang San frowned and said, How come the Emperor of the Xiandao Empire suddenly issued an order banning Jin Renai from entering the Xiandao Empire? Auntie, what happened to you? Tang San said with concern. He has been meticulous in thinking since he was a child and is very good at focusing on key points. Issues like issuing bans are not trivial matters. The Emperor of the Xiandao Empire can make such a decision. 9 times out of 10, it was Jin Renai who made the decision that harmed the interests of the royal family or made a mistake. A matter of face compared to the possibility of Jin Renai tampering with the royal family's interests. Tang San was more inclined to the latter. He knew what Tang Yue's Yoksuan meant, and Tang Yue had a trace of hatred in his eyes when he mentioned Jin Renai. Tang San quickly guessed that this matter had something to do with Tang Yue. He looked at Tang Yue with a hint of worry in his eyes. If Tang Yue was humiliated because of him and his father, he would feel very sorry. It's not a big deal, Tang Yue replied, not intending to tell Tang San about being hanged from the tree. She wanted to die by herself, if it wasn't for the fact that the empire can compete with the spirit hall now. Emperor Zhu would not let her go easily. Tang San was silent. Even if Tang Yue didn't tell the truth, he could still make a good guess. It was also at this time that his hatred for Jin Renai seemed to be getting deeper and deeper. In order to prevent Emperor Zhu from issuing a comprehensive ban on Jin Renai, Princess Zhu rushed to the Xiandao Palace. Emperor Zhu is still in court today, and Zhu wants to see him, so he can only wait. She was circling anxiously in the study, hoping that her father could slow down his work efficiency. Otherwise it would be difficult to talk about this matter when the portrait and the ban were fully promulgated. Jin Renai had no relationship with him. Even if her father wanted to see Jin Renai would not be willing to take a step into the Heaven Dao. Oh, what is this all about? Zhu sighed, never expecting that Tang Yue would report to Emperor Zhu so quickly. She turned around in circles with a frown on her face, feeling that this matter was really difficult to handle. At the same time, Tang Yue, at Tang San's strong request, sent people to find the whereabouts of Yu Xiaogang. Yu Xiaogang was thrown into the garbage truck by Lu Yaxin. And now he has been transported out of Xiandao City. God knows where he went. Flender and Liu Erlong, who were beaten in the Sunset Forest, also frantically searched for Yu Xiaogang's whereabouts. After waking up, the dried blood on the ground was enough to prove that Yu Xiaogang was killed, but Liu Erlong did not give up. She searched eagerly, but failed. In the end, she went crazy and killed low-level soul beasts in the Sunset Forest, just wanting to release the grief in her heart. At this time Flanders wanted to stop her, but his strength had not yet been restored. If he stepped forward to stop her, he would be beaten. In desperation, he could only let Liu Erlong torture and kill the soul beast. It is natural for a soul master to kill soul beasts to obtain soul rings, but cruel killing is another concept. Liu Erlong's move quickly aroused the anger of the soul beasts belonging to Lu Yaxin's branch in the Sunset Forest. They stretched all the way from the central area to the periphery, and in front of Flender, they whipped Liu Erlong. By the way, they also stuffed the filth produced by their soul beasts into Liu Erlong's mouth. Afterwards, they threw the 2 humans out of the Sunset Forest, and since then, Flender and Liu Erlong have been included in their blacklist of spirit beasts who have activated their intelligence. After returning to Shrek Academy in embarrassment with Liu Erlong, Xiao Wu came to greet him. He was shocked and quickly stepped forward to ask about the situation, and Daimyu Bei, who had been waiting in the academy, immediately went to check the situation. After learning that the dean had returned. Dean, what happened? Daimyu Bei was the first to speak out. He couldn't help but be a little surprised when he saw Flanders, who had a haggard face, tattered clothes, and looked like a beggar. Didn't they go find the mistress? What happened? What's going on here? Where is the master? What about mistress? Why are they the only 2 coming back? Daimyu Bei had countless questions in his mind. He glanced at Liu Erlong lying on the bed, and it was simply unsightly. There were at least dozens of wounds on Liu Erlong's body. Each wound was torn apart, and one could tell how painful it was just by looking at it. Ning Rongrong didn't dare to look at Liu Erlong's injuries at all. She avoided deliberately and stood behind Zhu Zhuking. Mom. Seeing this, Xiao Wu was very sad. She knelt beside Liu Erlong. She didn't dislike it as a soul beast. She still doesn't know what was fed into Liu Erlong's mouth. Her tears dripped down, but no one stepped forward to comfort her. Not seeing Yu Xiaogang and Tang San come back, Zhu Zhuking's eyes were slightly lowered, and he didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. Flender didn't answer Daimyu Bei's question. He lowered his head, looking extremely downcast. Seeing this, Xiao Wu found a random reason to drive these children away. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuking left happily. They had their own thoughts and had no intention of staying here for a long time. Daimyu Bei and Ma Hongjin talked a few words, but they still couldn't stay. Only Xiao Wuji didn't drive her away. Now Liu Erlong needs someone by his side. Xiao Wu is the best choice. After Xiao Wu cried enough beside Liu Erlong, she suddenly remembered that Tang San hadn't come back with him, so she couldn't help sobbing and asked, "Principal, brother, why didn't brother come back with you?" Flanders raised his head and glanced at Xiao Wu with dull eyes. "Xiao San is dead." "What?" Xiao Wu was shocked, with an unbelievable expression on her face. "How is this possible?" She stood up suddenly and yelled, "Who did it?" As expected of the mother and daughter, they are equally irritable. Flanders didn't look at Xiao Wu anymore. He lowered his eyes and said calmly, "Jin Renau." Xiao Wu was shocked again. "Impossible." She waved her hands, and said to herself, with her strength, "It is impossible to kill brother." Flanders shook his head. "There is a titled Douluo beside her." After saying those words, Xiao Wu's heart skipped a beat, and she sat on the ground violently. Chapter 110. Two Divine Marks. How could this happen? Xiao Wu shook her head with tears in her eyes. She couldn't believe that Flander and the others brought back the news of Tang San's death. All the past events came to mind, and Xiao Wu burst into tears. She only regretted that she had not let the Titan Giant Ape beat Jin Renau to death. Otherwise, how could Tang Yue have the chance to become Jin Renau? How could her third brother die? All of this comes from Jin Renau and is all because of her. Xiao Wu's eyes flashed with murderous intent. At the crack of the door where no one was paying attention, Zhu Huqing frowned slightly. She lowered her eyes. She didn't know what she was thinking. Then, she left and returned to the girls' dormitory. Spirit World Temple of Life in the Glorious Palace. A woman with long green hair was standing in front of a blue crystal ball. Next to her stood a man with short purple hair. The man was handsome and had a pair of phoenix-like eyes. She looked at the woman tenderly. She looked very gentle and graceful. Her facial features were exquisite and lovely, and her movements were full of gentleness. At this time, she reached out and touched the crystal ball in front of her. The crystal ball emitted a green brilliance in an instant, and it was very beautiful. Quickly, a scene emerged above. Jin Renai was sitting in the room practicing, while Guangling was protecting her, while Lu Yaxin and Jiu Lan kept watching Jin Renai with worried faces. A test of kindness, the man spoke, slightly surprised. "This guy, why did you secretly find an heir behind our backs?" He frowned, slightly unhappy, but immediately, he seemed to remember something, and looked at the woman in front of him again. "Xiao Lu, you said you sensed the heir of the flower god. Could it be this little girl?" "Yes," the woman nodded and replied, "she is a descendant of the flower god. I have noticed her aura before, but it seemed to be blocked by something, so I am not sure. This time maybe it is because of the divine pattern. Because of the activation, I felt her aura again, but what I didn't expect was that kindness actually took a fancy to her and chose her as his heir, descendants of the goddess of flowers." After hearing this, the man thought about it carefully and said, "If she is a descendant of the goddess of flowers, how can she not know how kind she is? Or, she knows that the little girl is a descendant of the goddess of flowers, so she still wants to let her take over your position. You and I can perceive it. How could she not know?" The woman's voice was as gentle as the ocean. She sighed slightly, a look of worry appeared on her face, and she didn't know what she was thinking in her heart. When the man saw this, he immediately raised his hand to take the person into his arms and comforted him. "The flower god is only a second-level god, and it has been vacant for many years, so it has become useless. It would be a good thing for the little girl to inherit the kind-hearted god." Having said that, yes, the woman had a sad face, as if she was worried about something. The man patted her shoulder lightly and sighed softly. "The thing has happened, let it be fate. Even if the little girl cannot inherit the position of kindness in the end, she still has the status of flower goddess. It's just that the age at which she becomes a god will be a little older. I know all this, Xiaozi. But what I'm worried about is that the child cannot maintain a pure and kind heart. If her mood changes, she will definitely not be able to pass the divine test of kindness. But after the divine test is lowered, she will never be able to pass it. There is no possibility of taking it back, in case her mood changes. So what should I do?" The matter of the divine test was indeed something neither of them had ever thought of. The man was silent for a while, pursed his lips, and said, "It all depends on fate, Xiaolu. Since that little girl has such a disaster in her life, you and I will too. There is no way to stop it. We are gods and we must not interfere in human affairs. Even if the flower goddess has a very good relationship with you, she voluntarily went through the disaster at the beginning. In the end, her soul dissipated. It was also her own choice. However, since the child is hers later generations, then I will give her a ray of divine power. As for whether she can make good use of it, it is her own business. The woman nodded slightly, agreeing with the man's statement. She also drew a trace of divine power from her body and turned it into a divine pattern and landed on Jinrinyu's right arm, and a trace of the man's divine power fell on Jinrinyu's left arm. A green pattern and a purple pattern faintly flashed. Seeing this, Lu Yaxin's eyes trembled slightly, and she didn't know what was in her mind. Good rift at this time, a huge evil beast appeared in front of Jinrinyu. She opened her eyes slightly and immediately jumped into the air, quickly dodging the attack from the evil beast. The ice phoenix wings behind her slowly spread the frost, and the temperature in the forest within a radius of 100 miles centered around her, and the evil beast dropped. The evil beast is a huge and ugly beast. Jinrinyu didn't know whether it was a soul beast or not, but seeing that it looked so sensual and didn't have any good luck, Jinrinyu named it He Beast, the evil beast. The evil beast, the beast that brings bad luck. The current situation is indeed quite unlucky for Jinrinyu. The staff of kindness currently only has one soul skill, and it consumes a lot of soul power. She has already used it once to deal with those moonblades just now. If you use it again now, you are betting on whether you can kill the evil beast with one blow. To be honest, Jinrinyu does not have this confidence, so now she is just defending and dodging the attacks of the evil beast. At the same time, the little phoenix is looking for the weakness of the evil beast in Jinrinyu's body. As long as she finds the weakness, there was no suspense in this duel. The time was very tight. Jinrinyu had prepared her powerful blow early. She was just waiting for little phoenix to reveal her weakness, and she would kill him with one blow. To be honest, Jinrinyu does not have this confidence, so now she is just defending and dodging the attacks of the evil beast. At the same time, the little phoenix is looking for the weakness of the evil beast in Jinrinyu's body. As long as she finds the weakness, there was no suspense in this duel. The time was very tight. Jinrinyu had prepared her powerful blow early. She was just waiting for little phoenix to reveal her weakness, and she would kill him with one blow. The forest was frozen for thousands of miles, but the evil beast was not affected. It moved its clumsy body and slapped the ground, striking at Jinrinyu with palm after palm, but it didn't hit once. The strong wind blew Jinrinyu's long hair, and her body suddenly trembled. The place where she had been cut by the moonblade began to hurt slightly. What's going on? She frowned slightly, a little puzzled. The attack power of the evil beast in front of her didn't seem to be very strong, and it moved slowly. It felt like it was just trying to create wind power under the guise of attacking her. Is it? Jinrinyu looked at her arm fiercely. As predicted, dozens of scratches appeared on her arm. The scratches were small and dense. She didn't feel them at all when she was first scratched. Only when there were enough scratches did she realize something was wrong. Jinrinyu immediately started to shield her soul power. She was holding a staff of kindness, her eyes froze, and she was no longer about to dodge. Master, attack its head. At this time, little phoenix happened to speak out, and Jinrinyu's whole body suddenly erupted with a cold air. She poured the flame in her hand into the staff of kindness. The staff of kindness was suddenly surrounded by red and blue flames, and they jumped on the staff, jumping up and down, seemed to be saying something to Jinrinyu. Jinrinyu raised her lips slightly, and hummed lightly, "I'm counting on you guys." Thorn. The staff of kindness flew through the air and went straight to the head of the evil beast. The evil beast subconsciously raised its hand to defend, but was directly penetrated by the flames on the body of the staff of kindness. A tragic cry resounded through the sky. Jinrinyu, a white light suddenly greeted her eyes. She turned her head away and stretched out her hand to cover it. After a while, the illusion around her disappeared, and she returned to the steps she stepped on safely. Congratulations, the first level of the second test of kindness has been completed, and the affinity for kindness has increased by 2%. An ethereal voice sounded, and a brown card suddenly appeared in front of Jinrinyu. She reached out to catch the card. What was marked on it was the collision of a heart-shaped orb and a staff. Strictly speaking, this is Jinrinyu's second martial soul form. Jinrinyu took the card and looked at it for a while, not knowing what it meant. However, why is there no kindness and affinity in the first test? Jinrinyu thought about it for a while, but couldn't figure out the reason, thinking that it was getting late. She didn't care so much, put away the cards and left the secret realm of kindness. As soon as she returned to reality, Jinrinyu found that two forces suddenly surged into her body. One is full of vitality, extremely gentle, and the other is full of destruction, extremely domineering. These two forces were hidden in her two arms respectively. They were like a river and sea, rushing towards Jinrinayu's heart. After a while, Jinrinayu felt that her heart suddenly became very heavy, and she frowned, groaned a few times, attracting the attention of Lu Yaxin and Jiayulan. "Little lord," Lu Yaxin stepped forward, very anxious. It was now morning. Guangling had just gone out to get breakfast. Something suddenly happened here in Jinrinayu. Jiayulan immediately ran out to find someone, while Lu Yaxin took advantage of no one to inject herself into Jinrinayu's body of soul power. A force came into her body again. But this time it was very different from the previous two times. The soul power in Jinrinayu's body was very suitable for Lu Yaxin's soul power, and she wanted to suppress the other two forces in her body. He could only use the soul power in her body, and Jinrinayu didn't know that there was an extremely powerful force hidden in her body. Lu Yaxin helped her wake up the power, but at the same time, Jinrinayu was also frantically absorbing Lu Yaxin. Lu Yaxin frowned slightly, feeling a little tricky at this time. The little phoenix in Jinrinayu's body uttered, "Little Luvine, stop sending soul power to the master, you will be sucked dry," it said eagerly. But Lu Yaxin didn't stop. She frowned slightly and said, "Two strange forces suddenly appeared in the young master. If we don't help her fuse as soon as possible, she won't be able to wake up. There is such a strong soul power in the master's body, and it is only a matter of time before it merges. You are courting death by transporting it like this." The little phoenix stomped anxiously in Jinrinayu's body. It really wanted to help, but at this moment it was cut off by those two forces, unable to mobilize the strong soul power in Jinrinayu's body, so it could only try to persuade Green Yaxin said, "If the master is awake, he will definitely not agree with you to do this, little green vine. Stop now." End of this chapter. Chapter 111 Fusion Power. LV Yaxin. Guangling rushed into the room in a hurry, and as soon as he came in, he saw Lu Yaxin doing something that wasted his life. He hurriedly interrupted Lu Yaxin, and said a little displeased, "What are you doing?" Jiulin stepped forward to catch Lu Yaxin, slightly surprised. "Yaxin Yu, hey. It's just in time for you to be conspicuous. Stop, little green vine. She doesn't want to live," Little Phoenix said. "Don't want to live anymore." Jiulin looked at Lu Yaxin. What happened? Didn't she just go out to find Guangling? Why did Lu Yaxin not want to live in such a short time? "You don't want to live anymore," Lu Yaxin replied, and immediately, she took a deep breath, and explained to Guangling, "There are two forces in the young master's body for no reason. If you don't help her merge as soon as possible, no one knows how long it will take for her to fuse. I can only wake up, and the young master's current condition is not very good. If I don't inject soul power to awaken the power left on the young master's body, do I want to let me watch the young master fail to merge, and end up sinking into a dream?" Two forces appeared for no reason? Guangling frowned slightly and turned to look at Jinrinayu, who was meditating on the bed. Jinrinayu is going to take the second test of kindness. If there is another power in her body, it should be given by the god of kindness, or in other words, this is the content of her test. Guangling didn't know the specific content of Jinrinayu's second test of kindness, but since Jinrinayu hadn't woken up yet, it proved that the test was not over yet. Perhaps, it was still being tested, right? Guangling thought so. But Lu Yaxin's words also impacted his heart. He frowned slightly, and suddenly felt that what Lu Yaxin said was not completely unreasonable. "Little Phoenix, what's going on?" Ice Crystal Phoenix and Jinrinayu entered the assessment together. Ice Crystal Phoenix knew Jinrinayu's current situation better than anyone else outside. Therefore, Guangling also handed over the important task of telling the truth without any doubt. Little Phoenix said, "Master has completed the first level of the second test of kindness, but I don't know whether he has been rewarded specifically. So, where do the two powers in the master's body come from?" Little Phoenix, "I can't find out. But I feel that this should be an assessment. I believe in the Little Phoenix, Master, she will be able to integrate smoothly." Even Little Phoenix doesn't know. Guangling suddenly fell into deep thought. At the same time, Jinrinayu seemed to have the soul power injected into her body by Lu Yaxin. Jinrinayu felt that there was an extremely soft soul power in her danshin, ready to go out. She frowned and slowly lured the soul power. After the power came out, it didn't take long for Little Phoenix to notice the changes in Jinrinayu's body. While he was surprised, he did not forget to report the good news to Guangling and the others. "Conspicuous bag. The master succeeded." "What?" Guangling and Lu Yaxin looked at Jinrinayu almost at the same time. I saw that Jinrinayu's expression gradually calmed down at this time, and the aura around her was no longer as surging as before. Guangling's eyes moved slightly, and she immediately walked towards Jinryu. He sat next to her, subconsciously wanting to hold her hand. But the next second, he hesitated again after careful consideration. He finally dismissed this idea. Little Lord, Liu Yaxin called. Although she was shocked that Jinryu could combine the two powers in a short period of time, it was still something to be happy about. For this reason, she looked at Jinryu eagerly, just wanting to see Jinryu awaken with her own eyes under the gaze of everyone. Jinryu slowly opened her eyes. 4 different auras emitted from her eyes. Guangling opened her eyes slightly, unable to contain her surprise. You, Jiajing will write tomorrow, and I am not feeling well today. Chapter 112 Going to Clear Sky Sect. Isn't it just to complete the second test of kindness? How come there are so many different auras suddenly appearing? The god of kindness is so generous. Thinking of this, Guangling suddenly envied Jinryu. It would be great if he could be appreciated by such a generous god. Jinryu calmed down her aura, and she frowned slightly. She didn't know why there were 2 extra auras in her body. After all, the original power of these 2 auras and the kindness God gave her earlier, it was different, so Jinryu dared to conclude that this had absolutely nothing to do with the god of kindness. But if it had nothing to do with the god of kindness, who else would it be related to? Jiu Zioner, or her father whom she has never met and whose name is unknown. Shaking her head, Jinryu decided not to think about it. It is naturally straight from the bridge to the bow of the ship. For some things, you can only take one step at a time. What's the matter, Yue? What's wrong with you? Seeing that there was no joy on Jinryu's face, Guangling couldn't help expressing concern. Jinryu shook her head. I'm fine, that's good. By the way, did the assessment go well? Guangling asked. Well, the first step has passed, and there are still 9 steps left. I believe it will be completed smoothly in a short time, Jinryu said. Oh, that's good. Guangling nodded, feeling relieved afterwards. Several people ate breakfast together, and went to Heoxianzong together. Since Jialin couldn't fly, and Guangling didn't want to fly, it was no surprise that King Lun became the flying tool of the other 3. King Lun actually didn't quite agree with this proposal, but Jinryu had no choice but to wrong King Lun. Considering Jiulin among the 3, Jinryu was polite. Jiu Lan was a little embarrassed. Only Guangling swaggered, probably not remembering that King Lun was still holding his little tail in his hand. But fortunately, King Lun didn't care about him. After all, this wasn't the first time Guangling played tricks. He was used to it. After flying for a while, the 4 people arrived in front of a towering mountain. After Heoxianzong retired and closed the sect lost its glory in its heyday in front of Jinryu's eyes. It was a village that looked about the same size as the Holy Soul village. This small mountain village was the outpost of the Haoshan sect. It was not the real location of the Haoshan sect. The real location was after leaving the village. On the mountain peak in front, after reaching the top, you can reach another mountain peak through the stone chain. That is the real location of Haoshan sect. The terrain of Heoxianzong is steep. In order not to waste time, Jinryu didn't plan to walk through the iron chain by herself. She made an agreement with King Lun early in the morning, and flew directly there, and also saved the disciples guard in the periphery of Heoxianzong. Deal with King Lun also agreed with Jinryu's approach, so the 4 of them landed directly in front of another mountain peak. The huge stone building was like a fortress. The main entrance was 5 meters high. It also has a majestic grandeur that can confront the surrounding mountains. Heoxianzong, how dare you break into my clear sky school? Not long after they landed, the sound of hurried running and a male voice full of hostility came from the ears of the 4 of them. I not only want to break into your Haoshan sect, but I also want to seek justice from your Haoshan sect. A fierce aura came from his hand. Jinryu raised his hand, and directly sent the sect disciple who questioned them flying. Behind that disciple were several other sect disciples. They managed to climb over the chains and then breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a brown figure came in front of them. Several disciples were suddenly hit by the flying disciples. Their center of gravity was unstable and they suddenly fell towards the bottom of the cliff. No, seeing this, the few people who were still above couldn't help but exclaimed. Jinryu gave Jiu Lan a wink. Jiu Lan nodded. The blue-silver grass in her hand suddenly spread and grew, and pulled up the fallen sect disciples at a very fast speed, and fell to the ground hard. Little Bazio Jiu. Several other people rushed forward, all concerned about the safety of those who fell. After confirming that everyone was fine, one of the older men frowned and walked towards Jinryu, and the others Guangling and Qing Luan subconsciously stood in front of Jinryu and Jiu Lan, and Jinryu pulled Guangling to signal him not to make a move. Guangling nodded, indicating that he understood. King Lun cast a glance at the two of them, but said nothing. What is the strength of Jinryu? The disciples of the Haoshan school have seen it just now. After a rough look, Jinryu is still the one with the weakest soul power fluctuations among the four. If they guessed correctly, the strength of the other three may all above Soul Sage. The Haoshan school has been closed for a long time, except for the occasional people from the two major schools who come to share news. There will be no outsiders at all, and if people from the two sects came, it would be impossible for them to fight immediately when they met, and it was even more impossible to send a few powerful masters together. 4. May I ask what you are here for? The older man stopped 100 meters in front of Jinryu and asked politely. The people in front of them were not something they could afford to offend, and the man knew this. The most urgent thing is to ask their purpose clearly, so that the people in the sect can be mentally prepared. Jinryu could see through the man's plan at a glance. She seemed to be interested suddenly, raised her lips slightly and said with a smile, "For the sake of asking you so sincerely, I will reluctantly tell you." The man raised his eyes slightly. Jinryu looked at him, and said word by word, "I am, come, ask, blame, what?" The man frowned, and the politeness he had just dissipated. "Accountable? Why? What qualifications do you have to hold Hao Xianzong accountable?" In the eyes of men, Jinryu's words could only be regarded as provoking them. It seems that these people really have impure motives. Are you a new batch of disciples who went out to buy? Jinryu doesn't care what they think now. If they are willing to cooperate in opening the gate of Haoshan sect, then everyone will be happy, but if they are not willing to cooperate... Haha, Jinryu chuckled and could only explode. So what? The man raised his vigilance, and never thought that such a situation would happen today. He calculated the time to deliver the message in his mind, but he didn't realize that Jinryu had already walked behind him. "Take us in together. It just so happens that I want to see your sect master," a faint voice rang in his ears. And the man trembled, and subconsciously raised his hand to attack Jinryu. "Nobody, why did you take you in?" Jinryu easily dodged the attack. She reached out and grabbed the man's wrist, turned him over and fell to the ground. Bang! Are all members of the Haoshan school so arrogant and arrogant? Chapter 113. A cold voice floated in the air. After the man was thrown to the ground shook violently. Seeing this, the other Haoshan school disciples quickly steadied their bodies, fearing that if they were not careful, they would roll down the cliff again. There are people beyond people, and mountains beyond mountains. Boy, the Clear Sky School is no longer the original Clear Sky School. You have to think about whether you have the right to shout in front of me. Jinryu stepped on the back of the man's hand, and the man screamed in pain, and he passed out in an instant. Seeing this, Jiu Lan didn't think it was cruel. She leaned out behind King Lun with a tall head. He gave Jinryu a thumbs up and smiled and praised, "Young master, you have taught me a good lesson. This. Seeing this, the other Hao Xianzong disciples all took a few steps back. Originally they wanted to go forward to help the man, but now it seems that going up to help him is nothing more than courting death. Their strength is not strong to begin with, so retreat is inevitable. However, there are always a few stunned youths in the group. They couldn't stand being humiliated in front of their own house, so they all activated their martial spirits one after another, and smashed at Jinryu one after another. Most of the people in this group are only Sihun Hunzen, and the one who was knocked unconscious by Jinryu just now is the strongest one among them. She doesn't even pay attention to the soul sect. How can a few soul masters do anything together? Beat the stone with an egg. Jinryu released her soul power, Yin Frost. Since practicing Jiangxin, Jinryu didn't need to use complex fusion to summon the Silver Frost Sword. At the same time, with the blessing of Jianzin, the appearance time of the Silver Frost Sword was also extended a lot. Jinryu held Yinchuang in her hand and faced the Haoshan sect disciples directly. The sound of swordlight sharpening the Haoshan hammer sounded outside the silent sect. The air was getting colder and colder. Guangling carefully observed Jinryu. As Renyu fought with those people, she had already determined the outcome of the battle. The disciples of Haoshan sect looked at each other, and they seemed to be communicating something. Then, a few people stood at the four corners of Jinryu, preparing to besiege. Jinryu glanced at them and raised a smile on her lips. "I really won't give up until I reach the Yellow River. Take the call." Those people came with hammers in hand. Jinryu tilted her head and raised her hand to wave the Silver Frost Sword. The blade of the Silver Frost Sword exuded a cold breath. The breath soon spread into the air and formed a frost. Snowflakes flew and fell, and in an instant, The 4 people who besieged Jinrenai were frozen in the air. At the same time, Jinrenai swung out the Silver Frost Sword, and a red and blue flame suddenly burst out from the blade of the Silver Frost Sword. Following the waves of silver frost, they gathered into 4 two-color lotus flowers in the air, heading straight towards the 4 Haoshan sect disciples. Seeing that the dead lotus flower was about to hit the 4 frozen disciples, at this moment, the stone door behind Jinrenai suddenly opened, and a burst of anger came from inside. Before the Haoshan school, how can you be presumptuous? A powerful soul power struck, and the ice phoenix wings behind Jinrenai spread out, quickly dodging the attack from that powerful soul power. She flew to Guangling, and the 4 of them looked at the open stone door together. The lotus flames released by Jinrenai did no harm. Her purpose was not to kill people, but to lure the snake out of the hole. She did not believe that the people inside could be so calm and could watch the disciples of her sect die. If you don't allow me to be presumptuous, it depends on my mood. Even if you don't allow me, I will be presumptuous. Looking at the figure walking out of the door, Jinrenai could probably be sure that the person who came was not Xiao Douluo Tang Xiao. So far, the people in the Haoshan sect are not of one mind in the true sense, but the only soul masters who can bring such a great sense of oppression, apart from Tang Xiao, are the only elders. Which little unfortunate guy could he be? Jinrenai narrowed her eyes slightly with the temper of the group of Haoshan. They probably won't be able to speak well when they come out, but if you don't speak well, you will definitely be beaten up. After all, some things are better to be done directly than to talk about them. Where's the little girl? She is so eloquent. The person who came out was the second elder of Haoshan school, Tang Wang. He was wearing light brown clothes and a black robe, which was the standard Haoshan sect attire. He looked at Jinrenai with some impatience in his eyes, but when he saw Guangling beside her, his pupils couldn't help moving, especially when he saw Qinglun. He seemed to realize something, and suddenly said seriously, "Who are you? Why are you hurting my sect disciple?" The Haoshan sect has been closed for more than 10 years. Except for the disciples who go out to purchase, it is impossible for anyone to come into contact with outsiders. What's more, the disciples of the sect know the rules clearly, so how can they go out to commit trouble for no reason? What is the origin of this group of people? I just want to see your suzerain, by the way, to be held accountable, Jinrenai said lightly. Accountability? Tang Wang frowned. Why do you hold Haoshan accountable? His face was shaking slightly, and he looked angry. However, the second elder had deep thoughts, but he was not as easy to blow up as those juniors. Guangling and Qinglun did not hide their auras. As a titled Douluo, Tang Wang could clearly feel that the level of these 2 people was far above him in the entire Douluo continent. There are not many titled Douluo who can reach level 95 or above. Hard to do. Tang Wang seemed to have thought of something. Are you from Wuhantian? Smart. Second elder. Jinrenai smiled and clapped her hands. I have no intention of fighting with you. The main purpose of coming here this time is to seek justice. Justice? Tang Wang, what justice? Jinrenai, Tang Hao snatched my mother's token and hurt my heart. Tell me, why am I here to seek justice? What? Tang Hao? Tang Wang's eyes moved slightly, a little surprised, and then he frowned, not knowing what he was thinking. The current situation of Haoshan can be said to be poor, and it is powerless to fight against Wuhantian except for the sect leader and a few elders who have reached the title of Douluo. Almost everyone else in the sect can be called cannon fodder. If there is a conflict with the Wuhan Palace, I am afraid that Haoshan sect will really become someone else on the mainland. The legend in my mouth, Tang Hao has already been expelled from the Clear Sky School. What has this matter to do with me? The Clear Sky School, Tang Wang argued, but he is playing under the banner of Haoshan. Jinrenai said nonsense seriously. Guangling, did Tang Hao himself tell me to go to Haoshan sect to find him if I have the ability? Guangling was called, still a little dazed. He looked at Jinrenai, received the other party's signal, nodded solemnly and said nonsense. Well, the old man was still there at the time. If he didn't leave an arm behind, how could it be possible? Can you run away? After Tang Wang heard it, although he didn't believe it very much, but the matter has come to this point, and since the Wuhan Palace has come to ask for accountability, it is difficult to think about this matter. Chapter 114. Is she really in? Monthly ticket plus updates. With a slight sigh, Tang Wang shook his head. Seeing that all the disciples of the sect were fine, he had no intention of arguing with Jinrenai. He just said lightly, "Come with me." Jinrenai nodded, and the 4 of them followed Tang Wang into Haoshan sect. In the Haoshan sect, Tang Wang is not worried that they will take action. Although their sect cannot currently compete with the overall power of Wuhan Palace, the power of the sect is still more than enough to restrain these two people, and since Wuhan Tian didn't do anything directly, their real purpose was not to hold them accountable, but to take something away from them as for what it was. Tang Wang didn't know, but all in all, it was Tang Hao who caused the trouble. If he hadn't insisted on falling in love with his soul beast, Haoshan School would not have been forced to close this school for decades, and it would not have fallen to where it is today. Tang Hao, oh Tang Hao, what are you pretending to be in your mind? Is he satisfied after defeating Haoshan? The colors of the buildings in Haoshan's sect are all on the color side, and the desolation and vicissitudes of life are visible to the naked eye. Compared with Wuhan Palace and Kibao Glazed sect, it is a huge difference. Jin Renai felt as if she had entered a beggar's den. It is said that the other two major sects and Haoshan are still secretly connected. Over the years, those two sects have helped them a lot, right? Thinking of this, Jin Renai and the others follow Tang Wang to the main hall of the Haoshan School. The main hall is not majestic, but it is still spacious in the high position. The man stands with his back. His back is firm, but there are also vicissitudes. Jiu Lan looked at him, feeling a little familiar. She walked to Jin Renai and whispered behind the latter, "Young master, have we met him before? I think he looks very familiar. I've seen it before, maybe in my dream." Jin Renai joked, "I hate it, young master." Jiu Lan seemed to understand what Jin Renai meant. She smiled and patted Jin Renai's hand. Be harmonious. Several other elders were very unhappy with Jin Renai and Jiu Lan's actions, but Tang Wang winked at them when they entered the hall and told them that these people were not easy to mess with. Unless there were special circumstances, they would definitely. There can be no conflict. It is also because of this that they are patient. The men in high positions were also quite impatient with the movement below. The disciples in the sect came in to report the situation outside Tang Wang before he left. The reason why Jin Renai can see such a complete elder now is because of Tang Wang. Xiao called them over. "It's too disrespectful of us." That is, amidst the displeasure of the elders, the man in the high position turned around. He looked down at Jin Renai and the others, and wanted to teach them a lesson, but when his eyes caught Jiu Lan, his eyes paused slightly. The whole person looked at Jiu Lan in a daze, and his eyes became moist in an instant. Three sisters. After spending so much time with a yin, Tang Xiao knew a yin's face very well, not to mention that a yin was the person he had always been thinking about. Dodging in front of Jiu Lan, Tang Xiao excitedly said, "Third sister, who is your third sister?" Jiu Lan made a sound, and hurriedly took a few steps back. Seeing this, Qing Luan also stepped forward to stop Tang Xiao. "Sect Master Tang, please respect yourself," he said coldly, but the light in his eyes fell on Jiu Lan. Jin Renai looked at Tang Xiao and said nothing. Tang Xiao's reaction was what she expected. Now that she was a melon eater, she wanted to see if Tang Xiao would lose his sense of proportion because of Jiu Lan. "Yuer, do you know them?" Guangling transmitted the sound to Jin Renai. Ever since he entered Haoshan, Guangling had been observing Jin Renai's every move. The movement made by Jin Renai and Jiu Lan just now, one could tell it was Jin Renai himself. It was done on purpose, and based on his understanding of Jin Renai generally does not bring useless people to work such as it is necessary. King Luan is used to fly Jiulan, it was used to deal with Tang Xiao, right? It's more than knowing that they are still a love triangle, Jin Renai said with relish. Love triangle. Guangling subconsciously looked at Tang Xiao, Qing Luan and Jiu Lan. When did the third brother meet Jiu Lan? Why doesn't he know? The third brother likes Jiulan. Tang Xiao also likes Jiulan, then Jiulan likes the third brother? Depend on. How could he not know about this? Jin Renai didn't know what Guangling was thinking at this time. She looked at the atmosphere between the three people and focused on watching the show 2 days ago. Jin Renai visited King Luan and asked him to protect Jiulan. Therefore, King Luan Douluo, who never took action easily, would frequently protect Jiulan. Third sister, it's me. Looking at the strangeness in Jiu Lan's eyes, Tang Xiao felt a little strange for a while, but he was sure that even though he hadn't seen him for decades, he could still identify a yin at a glance in Jiu Lan's eyes. Tang Xiao is now like an apprentice. She really doesn't like this kind of person. Young master, she looked at Jin Renai, her eyes pleading for help. Jin Renai understood and expressed her peace of mind afterwards. The former said, "Sect Master Tang, we came here this time mainly to ask for an explanation. Half a month ago, Tang Hao blocked the Wuhan Palace from doing business, took away my mother's token, hurt my heart, and uttered nonsense. The matter must have something to do with Hao Xianzong. Jin Renai's tone was very calm. The last sentence in her mouth was not to ask Tang Xiao, but she had already confirmed it. It was just a formality, so that Tang Xiao would not ask a question. After Tang Xiao heard what Jin Renai said, he clearly showed disbelief. Tang Hao has been expelled from the Clear Sky School. No matter what he does, it has nothing to do with the Clear Sky School. After leaving these words, Tang Xiao didn't want to say anything more. Tang Hao's whereabouts are unknown, and Yin suddenly appeared here, and it is also related to the people of Wuhan Palace. What happened here? Tang Xiao frowned. It is absolutely impossible to admit that Tang Hao is related to the Clear Sky School. As the head of a school, he can only consider for the sake of the school. Although, he doesn't really want to deny his younger brother. But is this woman really Yin? Tang Xiao's eyes were a little complicated. He is now a titled Douluo, but he can't see the real body of the woman in front of him. Could it be that she is already mature, or, she is not Yin really? So don't sect leader Tang intend to give an explanation? Jin Renai asked with a smile. And the thread in his words was ready to come out. Tang Xiao frowned. After living for so many years, this was the first time he was threatened by a yellow-haired girl. What is the origin of this little thing? Tang Hao has been expelled from the Haoshan sect a long time ago. What does what he did have to do with our Haoshan sect? Why should I, the Haoshan sect, have to answer for it? End of this chapter. Chapter 115. The two major techniques of Haoshan sect. Then what sect Master Tang means is that he doesn't want to give an explanation. Jin Renai chuckled. She had expected that they would not admit it easily, but no matter whether they admitted it or not, they would always admit it due to pressure. After all, the current Haoshan sect could not compete with the enshrinement hall. What Tang Hao provoked was the enshrinement hall, not the Pope's hall. The fluttering voice was full of threats. Tang Wang frowned slightly after listening to it. Although the other elders were unwilling, they did not dare to say anything more. You know, that guy Tang Hao, who was able to do the thing of falling in love with a soul beast back then, may not be able to cause other things now. It can only be said that Wuhan Palace wants to deal with their Haoshan sect, otherwise they would not hold Tang Hao to account. Trouble Tang Wang's worry. How could Tang Xiao not know? He stared at Jin Renai, and said in a deep voice, what exactly do you want to do? I don't want to do anything, Jin Renai said. Tang Hao took a treasure from me, and the Haoshan sect should also provide items of equal value as compensation. Right, equivalent items? What do you want? Tang Xiao asked. The two major exercises of the random splitting wind hammer method and the big sumaru hammer. Jin Renai said neither salty nor lightly. What? Not only Tang Xiao was shocked, but several other elders also exclaimed, Tang Hao snatches you a treasure. It can be compared to my Clear Sky School's unique knowledge. It's really wishful thinking, one of the elders uttered angrily. He pointed at Jin Renai and cursed. The next moment, his body was frozen by the aura emanating from Guangling. Stop, Tang Xiao released with soul power, counteracting the aura released by Guangling. Those two great skills are the ultimate skills of my Haoshan school, and they will never be given out easily. I still hope that the girl will find something else, then give me 100 million gold soul coins, Jin Renai said lightly. The consecrated grandfathers in the enshrinement hall gave a lot of rare herbs to repair my heart veins, and the bits and pieces are worth hundreds of thousands. If Tang Hao snatches a treasure from me, I will count it as small as hundreds of thousands. The sum of the two, I'll give you a discount. How about 100 million? As long as you Hao Xianzong can take out the 100 million today, we can write it off. But if you can't get the money, you don't want to take the money. If the two major techniques come out to offset each other, I will take coercive measures, full of threats. Of course, if you want evidence, I have it too. Jin Renai opened the soul tool, took out Tang Hao's right arm from inside and threw it to Tang Xiao. After hurting me, he left an arm, and my current injury has not healed. Is it the Clear Sky Hammer? The injury can be seen at a glance. How could Tang Xiao fail to recognize his brother's hand? Although he was angry, he couldn't vent it at will. What Jin Renai threw out was not evidence, but a warning. If she can throw out Tang Hao's hand today, she may destroy the Haoshan sect tomorrow. The Haoshan sect is now short of resources and has no malleable talents. It is really difficult. 100 million gold soul coins. Even if the entire Haoshan school is sold, it is impossible to get them all together. Jin Renai is not giving two proposals. Her goal is from the beginning to the end. Cultivation techniques. Now they have no other way except to hand over the two major techniques. Fight to the death? Tang Xiao shook his head. Jin Renai has two titled Douluo above level 95, and one of them has clearly stepped into level 97. Level 97 is a natural barrier. There's a world of difference between the two levels. Even if they want to solve Jinrinyu today, they can only be dumb and swallow. The situation is in front of them. Hao Xianzong has no choice. Tang Yue was silent when Guangling heard this. He couldn't help but pout. He thought he was here to fight, but it turns out he was here to get something. It was really boring. It's useless to talk to them. It's better to grab them directly. They can't beat them anyway. After hearing this, the other elders couldn't come up with any other ideas, so in the end they had to hand over the decision-making power to the sect leader Tang Yue. As the master of a sect, Tang Yue has to consider not only himself, but also other disciples in the sect. If he really fights with them here, he is afraid that innocent people will be hurt, and he will not get any good fruit to eat. With no other choice, Tang Yue could only hand over the two major exercises of the Haoshan school in the end. Although he was unwilling and didn't want to see Jinrinyu and the others again, when they were leaving, Tang Yue still called out to stop Jinrinyu. Wait, is there anything else? Jinrinyu turned around and looked at Tang Yue. Tang Yue's eyes were complicated and his lips moved slightly. He wanted to say something, but he hesitated. Finally, he laid his eyes on Jiu Lan. Jiu Lan subconsciously hid behind King Luan. King Luan was much bigger and taller than her. Tang Yue would not be able to see her easily if he hid behind King Luan. Guangling glanced at Tang Yue, then at Jiu Lan, not knowing what he was thinking about. Even though Jinrinyu saw what Tang Yue wanted to ask, she still decided to pretend to be deaf and dumb, and let him guess. After all, he would wake up from a dream at night if he wanted to kill someone, and he couldn't figure out why Yin was walking with the people from Wuhandian opening her ice phoenix wings. Jinrinyu flew away from Haoshan sect, with Guangling following behind her, Qing Luan carrying Jiu Lan, and they all headed to the Star Dou Forest together. Jinrinyu has reached level, and it's time to get the fourth soul ring. This time, King Luan accompanied the three of them on the way. In fact, Guangling didn't really want King Luan to accompany him, but King Luan felt that Guangling was not very reliable. In order not to make Jinrinyu's soul skill strange, he decided to find it for Jinrinyu himself, let alone it's on the way, and there's no trouble. It's uncomfortable for him to report by himself. After going back, several people arrived at the Star Dou Forest together. King Luan first scanned the middle of the forest with his soul power to see if there were any suitable soul beasts appearing, while the other three walked slowly towards the central area. Guangling and Jinrinyu was whispering, Jiulin was vigilant about her surroundings, and they each did their own work, but there was a clear division of labor at the same time. On the Xiandao Empire side, Zhu Ke met Emperor Zhu Yi and explained Jinrinyu's identity to Emperor Zhu Yi. Emperor Zhu Yi was shocked, but a little unbelievable. Zhu Ke stated that she was sure that Jinrinyu was Jiu Zioner's daughter, and that Jinrinyu's Wuhan was almost the same as Jiu Zioner's. This alone was enough proof. After speaking, Emperor Zhu Yi felt regretful and quickly ordered to cancel the ban on Jinrinyu, and sent Prince Zhu King with the imperial edict to take Jinrinyu into Xiandao Palace. Zhu King complied with the edict, but had no intention of going there. Yes, it's just a formality. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116: The Regretful Emperor Zhu Yi. The news of the lifting of the ban quickly reached Tang Yue's ears. She was surprised and immediately went to meet Emperor Zhu Yi. When Emperor Zhu Yi saw Tang Yue, he obviously changed his attitude and became a little impatient. He only said that Jinrinyu was higher than the princess, and the matter needed to be investigated, so he dismissed Tang Yue. But then Princess Tang Yue lamented this. Wuhandian and Xiandao Empire have never been related. The second lady of Wuhandian can make the Emperor of Xiandao Empire say the words of Princess Weeby. Could it be that Jinrinyu is still a member of the royal family of Xiandao Empire? Thinking of this, Tang Yue felt that things were getting worse. She hurried back to Yuxuan, ready to send Tang San back to Shrek Academy. If Jinrinyu's identity is really related to the Xiandao imperial family, then Yuxuan is definitely not safe. She was the Food Empire's salary and was protected by the Empire. Once the Empire sided with Jinrinyu, Tang San's situation would become very dangerous. For Tang San's safety, Tang Yue sent him back to Shrek Academy. Xiao Wu had been depressed for several days at Shrek Academy, and it wasn't until she saw Tang San again that her eyes became clear. Brother, Xiao Wu thought she was dreaming. She rushed towards Tang San, Her warm chest made it clear that the person in front of her was a living person. "Brother, you're not dead." "That's great. That's great," Xiao Wu cried with joy, trying to make sure that the person in front of her was really Tang San. As for Tang San, although he has been raised in Yuxu in general for a while, what happened to Yu Zaigang has always made him heartbroken, so compared to before, he is obviously thinner now. "I'm fine, Xiao Wu, I'm worrying you." Tang San stroked the back of Xiao Wu's head. His eyes were also full of tears. It seemed that only in front of Xiao Wu would he show his fragile side. "Little San." Dime Yubei also hurried out when he heard Xiao Wu's voice. Similarly, Ma Hongjin, Oscar, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuking also all appeared behind Dime Yubei. Several people were a little surprised when they saw Tang San. Ma Hongjin's eyes were slightly sour, and he stepped forward to put Tang San's shoulder and said, "Brother San, I knew you would be fine." "Mistress, welcome home," Oscar said. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuking didn't speak. Zhu Zhuking looked at Tang San, a different color flashed across his eyes, and he didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. Flender and Xiao Wuji were also overjoyed when they heard that Tang San had returned safely. Xiao Wuji didn't believe that Tang San would die at all, and Flender just made a judgment based on the situation. Under that circumstance, no matter who it was, they would think that Tang San was dead, not to mention Yu Zaiagang's whereabouts are unknown now. When he thought of Yu Zaigang, Flender's face darkened again. Tang San was naturally happy to see his companions again, but after being happy, all that was left was endless self-blame and resentment. "Principal, I'm sorry, it's me who caused the teacher, he is still missing." Unknown Tang San gritted his teeth. "Jin Renai did it, she's crazy." Really crazy? The bloody scene came to mind, and Tang San still couldn't accept that Jin Renai would attack Yu Zaigang and be so cruel. "What? Master? What's wrong with the master?" Dime Yubei asked aloud. It was the first time he saw Tang San so angry. It seemed that Jin Renai really did something outrageous. It was difficult for Tang San to tell Yu Zaigang about becoming an eunuch. He pursed his lips, frowned, and finally chose to hide it. "She and the title Douluo next to her hurt a teacher and me. I fainted and woke up. The teacher disappeared." "The teacher? I don't know what he is doing now." After Dime Yubei listened, he didn't speak. He and Ma Hongjin looked at each other. Ma Hongjin comforted him. "Third brother, the master is lucky. Everything will be fine. Teacher Erlong has already sent someone out to find the master. I believe it won't be long. You will find it." The Blue Lightning Overlord Dragon Sex manpower is not small. If they are all sent out to look for it, they will be found very quickly. It's just that the current Yu Zaigang is probably beyond recognition, and there is no guarantee that the disciples of the sect will not be able to recognize him. After comforting, Flender told Tang San to rest first, and as for Yu Zaigang, they would have to find it by their teachers. Tang San responded, knowing it in his heart, so he didn't say much. The training progress of the Shrek 7 monsters was not consistent. Zhu Zhuking got the fairy grass secretly sent by Jin Renai, and she was several levels higher than Oscar and the others. Except for Dime Yubei, she was higher than the others. Flender was amazed at Zhu Zhuking's improvement speed, and also asked her if she had eaten something, but Zhu Zhuking didn't answer. Her cold temper made Flender speechless, and finally had to give up on the other side. Jin Renai returned to the Hall of Spirits after absorbing the 4th soul ring in the Star Dou Great Forest. She gave Jin Daoliu the 2 great skills of Haoshan School, and explained that the secret meaning of the Great Sumeru Hammer is to explode the ring. From Jin Renai's understanding, ring explosion should not be limited by the martial spirit. Its essence is to condense the power of the spirit ring in the body, no matter what kind of martial spirit. This thing should be usable. That's why she went to Heoxianzong to rob this thing. As the saying goes, it's better to be happy alone than to be happy together. It would be nice if everyone exploded the ring together. I copied several copies of the Great Sumeru Hammer and distributed them. First, I will test it in the hands of the priests. As for whether I can succeed in cultivation, it is up to me. Jin Renai's palace is about to be renovated, but the furniture inside is not ready yet, so she is temporarily living in the Angel Palace these days. Knowing that the difficulty of the second test of kindness is a bit greater than that of the first test, she immediately retreated to pass the second test of kindness after obtaining the 4th soul ring. Unable to get a reply from Jin Renai, he sent someone back to investigate the situation, and when he learned that Jin Renai was conducting a divine test, Zhu King just found a reason to prevaricate Emperor Zhu Yi. Emperor Zhu Yi knew he was in the wrong, so he didn't say anything. He just asked Zhu King to think of other ways to invite Jin Renai over. If he couldn't invite Jin Renai over, the prince would go to Wuhan City in person. Anyway, No matter what, he must see Jinrinayu's king was speechless, but still greeted him with a smile, but he would not disturb Jinrinayu's divine test. Let's put aside the matter of meeting Emperor Zuyi for now. At the same time, in the Rakshasa secret realm, Bibi Dong once again sucked the spiritual power of the person hanging from the spider web. After this smoking, she felt that her mental power had improved by more than one level. She opened her eyes slightly, and a green breath flashed in her eyes. She licked her lips greedily, thinking that if she could, she would try every means to devour Jinrinayu. Jinrinayu is his daughter, so her mental strength will naturally be strong. It would be best to use Jinrinayu as a container to improve her. End of this chapter. Chapter 117 God's Gamble. After March, winter turns to spring. During this period, Jinrinayu perfectly completed the second test of kindness. The lifespan of the second soul ring of the first martial soul was increased to 10,000 years. The second soul ring was given by the second martial soul. At the same time, the lifespan of the first soul ring was increased to 2 years. Kindness, the affinity is increased to 20%, and the 3 tests of kindness are successfully started. The content of the 3 tests of kindness is to absorb the light of kindness and rebuild the bone marrow. The time limit is 1 year. If you want to absorb the light of kindness, you must ensure that you have no evil thoughts in your heart, but Jinrinayu's state of mind has changed at this time, so when she tries to absorb the light of kindness, no matter whether it is her limbs or internal organs, she will be affected. It was an extremely painful backlash, but Jinrinayu herself did not know about it. Even if the kind god knew about it, he never went down to explain it. Spirit World Temple of Good. The god of kindness in white stood in front of the kindness mirror and looked quietly at Jinrinayu, who was trying to absorb the light of kindness and causing backlash. She was silent, with no other expression on her face. It seemed that all of this was in her expectation. I'm afraid she won't be able to pass the divine test. I don't know when. The god of evil came to the temple of kindness. He snorted and smiled, glanced at Jinrinayu in the mirror of kindness and said, "The descendants of the flower god, her veins have appeared. The king of kindness, you should have known her identity for a long time. Why did you choose her as your heir?" "It's just practice," the god of kindness said calmly. "It's true that she possesses the divine veins of the flower god, but the previous flower god has already fallen. Even if she can start the god test, she may not be able to gain a firm foothold. It's better to let her take the kindness test first. There is no harm in training her body and mind. It's really biased," the god of evil said calmly. "The 3 tests of kindness are a cleansing exercise. In the current situation of this girl, let alone completing it within the time limit, even if we give her decades, she may not really be able to absorb the light of kindness. The god king of kindness, haven't you considered that she will be stuck in the 3rd exam and not be able to pass it?" "Some consideration, but not much." The god of kindness waved his hand, and another scene appeared in the mirror. In winter, Jinrinayu and Guangling were happily having a snowball fight. Lu Yaxin and Jiayu Lan were sitting aside. They were talking about something with smiles. Demon-conquering Douluo secretly threw a snowball into his hands. It hit Lu Yaxin on the head. Lu Yaxin was furious and chased the demon for several rounds. Jiayu Lan stepped forward to stop him, but was accidentally injured. In the end, they fought together and laughed happily. "Everlasting, it's such a heartwarming scene," the god of evil sighed, "but they won't be able to live like this for long." Keeping his gaze on Lu Yaxin, he continued, "She must be the key person to start the flower god examination." "Yes," the god of kindness replied calmly and said nothing more. "The divine pulse has been activated, and it won't take long for the flower goddess to pass the test. Do you want to take back the kindness god test? Or do you want to wait for her to give up on her own?" The god of evil looked at the people around him. "She is not suitable to inherit the position of goodness. The second test of kindness has caused such a big change in her mood, which is enough to prove that she cannot pass the 3rd test. Help is a help. At this point it's almost enough." "I know," the god of kindness smiled and said, "but we can still look forward to it, right? Although this child's state of mind has undergone irreversible changes, what if she can break through that restriction and reach the next level?" "Impossible," the god of evil affirmed. "She has the same temperament as the goddess of flowers. Do you think she will still maintain a pure and kind heart after learning everything?" "Absolutely impossible." After hearing this, the kind god didn't know what she was thinking in her heart. She said, "How about making a bet?" "A bet? What bet?" The evil god raised his eyebrows, suddenly becoming interested. "What's the stake?" he asked. "Just bet on whether the child can become a god. If you bet, the loser agrees to any condition of the winner." How about that? Well, I think it will work, the god of evil said enthusiastically. Okay, I have to go back and think about the conditions first. You and I both know whether the child can achieve the status of a god. If you bet on this, you are giving me a condition for nothing. It's not necessarily a free gift. The god of kindness smiled at him and said, there's someone around that girl who can make her change herself. The power of love is powerful. It's best not to deny it first. Love, the evil god sneered. If love was useful, the flower god would not have fallen. Okay, let's wait and see. After leaving these words, the god of evil disappeared into the temple of goodness. The god of goodness turned to look at Jinrinai in the mirror, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Douluo Continent Wuhan's typical palace. Bibi Dong, who was wearing a purple and gold dress, was sitting in a high position. She held a golden scepter in one hand and tapped the armrest of the seat with the other hand, as if she was thinking about something. After a moment, two figures slowly walked into the hall. It's Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo. They bowed respectfully to Bibi Dong, and Ghost Douluo said, Your Majesty, Emperor Zuyu has revoked the ban on second miss, and has even handed out invitations for the past few months to invite second miss to the palace, but those invitations were all rejected by the second lady, and the other second lady has not been out of the Hall of Worship in the past few months, and the people who followed her have been dealt with by the people of the Hall of Worship, Your Majesty. This the ghost raised his eyes slightly, not quite sure why Bibi Dong kept staring at Jinrinai just because she is Zuanling's daughter? Well, I understand, thanks to you two elders, Bibi Dong said calmly. When that girl goes out again, keep watching. Yes, Ghost bowed and replied, Go back. Yes, Your Majesty. Gimli and Yugwen walked out of the Pope's palace together, and they chose to remain silent tacitly. Gimli never hides anything from Yugwen, so naturally she told him about Bibi Dong's search for the Zuanling. After a quick calculation, the two of them were able to deduce that Jinrinai was Xuanling's daughter. In front of Xuanling was the elder of the Pope's palace, a titled Douluo of the Force Control System, whose mental power was unparalleled. Unexpectedly, Jinrinai turned out to be his daughter, so no wonder he took the control system route. Her father was a strong master of the control system, so it would be no problem for her to pursue the control system route, or so Yugwen thought. But he always felt that Jinrinai was not that simple, or that Xuanling was not that simple. Xuanling's martial spirit is a mutated green vine, and Jinrinai's martial spirit is a 9-petal fairy lotus. Although both are plant-based martial spirits, they are essentially incompatible. Could it be that Jinrinai's mother is the owner of the 9-petal fairy lotus, or is it that her mother is a lotus spirit? But it is just because of the combination with Xuanling that the child's spirit mutated and turned into 9-petal fairy lotus. Apart from this statement, Yugwen could not think of anything else. After all, in the entire history of Douluo Continent, there was only one soul master named Jinrinai who possessed the 9-petal Immortal Lotus. Why does Your Majesty keep staring at that girl? After the two walked far away from the Pope's palace, Giga spoke out about her confusion. That girl is the one who enshrines the palace, and His Majesty has been staring like this. Don't you want to be admitted to the Pope's palace? Not necessarily. Yugwen shook his head and said, if you want to be admitted to the Pope's hall, then Your Majesty has already gone to negotiate with the enshrinement hall. There is no need to keep staring and not move. What exactly does Your Majesty want? I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's a bit strange. Yu Yatao must be more than 10 years old. Did she hide herself? Ghost asked. Perhaps so. Yugwen frowned and answered, not knowing what to say. Xuanling is older than them. Logically speaking, even if he has a daughter, she will not be only 10 years old. What's more, Xuanling died more than 10 years ago. Where did he get a 10-year-old daughter? Is also about the same age as Hulina and the others, not only 10 years old. No wonder she can practice so fast. It turns out she is hiding something, but Yugwen still felt a little strange. Why did Jinrinai hide? That girl, don't you know who her father is? Ghost said suddenly. After hearing this, Yugwen paused, as if thinking of something. Go, old ghost, go to the Mingayu Palace. Why go to the Mingayu Palace? Before Gui had time to think, his whole body was reversed by Yugwen, and the two of them headed towards the direction of the enshrinement hall. Jinrinai's palace has been repaired, and Jin Douluo named it Mingyu a few days ago. Jinrinai had no objection to this nomination, so the palace was called Mingayu Palace. But because the Mingayu Palace had been repaired, Jinrinai had to move to her own palace. Jin Douluo didn't stop her and prepared various furniture for her. Only Guangling seemed unhappy. Jinryu moved to Mingyu Palace and was depressed for a long time these days. Jinryu has been living in Mingyu Palace to take the divine examination. The two rarely meet. Guangling is bored, so she lets Liu Yaxin out to play with her, although Liu Yaxin was speechless. For Jinryu's sake, she didn't say anything. Jiulin is much quieter than Liu Yaxin. Her level is not much different from Jinryu. In order to catch up with Jinryu, she has been practicing all day and all night. And she is not sloppy at all. Kinglin and the others would often come to the Mingyu Palace to give things to Jinryu. After these visits, Liu Yaxin and Jiulan got to know them. Yu Guan led the ghost to the outside of Mingyu Palace, and just as he was about to step in, he heard an angry female voice coming from inside. Conquer the devil. Are you done yet? The two people outside the hall paused and looked at each other subconsciously, not knowing whether to step in or not. 7 offerings? 7 offerings here? Thinking of this, Yu Guan hesitated. Old ghost, can we get in? He looked at the people around him and asked. The ghost was silent for a while and said, you're here, let's go in. Anyway, Xuanling is Jinryu's biological father, and sooner or later the Hall of Worship will know, and maybe they already know, but they haven't been sure, so they didn't say anything. If they go now, they probably won't get into trouble. The ghost thought so, and the person was pulled in by Yu Guan. Elder ghost, Elder Ju, why are you here? The courtyard of Mingyu Hall was peaceful. Jinryu was lying on the recliner watering the flowers, feeling very comfortable, while Guangling was sitting beside her playing with her hair. Looking very serious when Yu Guan and Jiuime came in, Jinryu happened to raise her eyes and glanced at the door of the palace. She spoke lightly and sat up. Guangling put down her long hair and followed Jinryu to look at the two people at the door. Second miss, Yu Guan and Jiuime bowed to Jinryu, but they didn't expect that the 5 worshippers were here. What's the matter with you two seniors? Jinryu tilted her head and asked calmly. However, after not seeing her for several months, Yu Guan noticed that the aura on this girl's body had undergone a huge change. How is this going? He frowned slightly, always feeling a little strange. There's something I want to tell Miss Second. Seeing that Yu Guan didn't answer, Jiuime spoke up for him. What's the matter? Jinryu asked. Jiuime glanced at Yu Guan, who said, does the second young lady know her life experience? Life experience? Guangling was the first to be alert. He raised his eyes and looked at Yu Guan, his eyes as cold as ice. Did Bibi Dong ask you to come? The two of them were overwhelmed by Guangling's momentum, but they did not expect that the reaction of the 5 worshippers would be so great. However, the relationship between the Pope and the Pope's Hall and the Hall of Worshippers was not very good to begin with. It was normal for the 5 worshippers to have a bad attitude towards them. What's more, Bibi Dong really wanted to kill Jinryu, but Guangling didn't directly kill her. Once they were kicked out, it was already pretty good. Regarding this, Yu Guan explained, His Majesty the Pope did not ask us to come. We just want to confirm something with the second lady. What's the matter? Guangling asked. They had already learned most of Jinryu's life experience in the enshrinement hall. At this time, someone from the Pope's Hall mentioned her life experience. Did they make any new discoveries? After knowing that Bibi Dong sent people to follow Jinryu secretly, Guangling probably guessed that Bibi Dong was also investigating this girl's life experience. Since the people sent by the Pope's palace did not pose a threat to Jinryu, Guangling just turned a blind eye at first. However, those guys really didn't know the heights of the sky and dared to monitor even the enshrinement hall. It was solved in one go a few days ago, and counting. Bibi Dong must have received the news by now. Guangling didn't think they had any good intentions when people came to the Pope's palace at this time. Jinryu's thoughts are almost the same as Guangling's, but she always has a special feeling about Yu Guan. For this reason, she is also willing to listen to what they are talking about. 2 elders, please tell me, Wu Zhangfang not an outsider either? Yes, second lady, Yu Guan responded and was about to speak. Unexpectedly, at this moment, there was a sudden explosion and the air and smoke and dust fell all over the sky. Guangling immediately pulled Jinryu and fled under the eaves, leaving Yu Guan and the ghost alone. Before they had time to react, the next moment, the two of them were quickly baptized with dust. From head to toe, no part of them was clean. Oh. Yaxin, you are so good. End of this chapter. Chapter 118 is related to an elder in the papal palace. Jiang Mo's voice came from above, and the 4 people below all looked up. Jinryu didn't say anything. Fighting between Jiang Mo and Liu Yaxin was already a common occurrence in Mingyu Palace. Anyway, there would always be a fight every 3 days. It's a mess, but fortunately there are demons around, and the gunpowder developed by Jin Renai can be tested from time to time. I'm telling you, Lao Qi, could you please not hit me directly above here next time? If Yue is sleeping, are you going to make her look ashes? Guangling said, a little unhappy. If it weren't for the fact that this was the Mingyu Palace, he would have gone to beat up Jiang Mo to save Jiang Mo from being itchy all day long. Fifth brother, don't worry, Yue will escape on her own. If nothing happens, won't you still be here? The flashing red light in the sky was holding the coiling dragon stick, and he responded to Guangling's words without caring, looking particularly unbeatable. Lao Qi, you deserve a spanking, don't you? That's not true, but if fifth brother wants to fight, seventh brother will accompany me. Guangling's temper was so bad that he didn't bother to let the demon down, and the demon exploded at once. The smell of gunpowder soon ignited between the two of them. Yu Guan and Ji Yuimei, who were covered in ashes, didn't dare to say anything when they saw this. I had no choice but to walk under the eaves in despair, so as not to suffer another disaster later. Grandpa Jiangmo, where's Yaxin? Jin Renai looked left and right, but did not see the shadow of Lu Yaxin, so she couldn't help but ask. There is a protective barrier above the Mingyu Palace. Even if there is a big collision, there will be no big movement outside. This is why Ji Yuimei and Yu Guan are covered in ashes. Similarly, this protective barrier also limits others flew in and people in Mingyu Palace flew out. Lu Yaxin took the explosives she made to fight with a demon. Logically speaking, people should not disappear. Why at this time, she couldn't feel Lu Yaxin's where is the breath? I don't know, it was blown up. Jiang Mo said indifferently. He was still confronting Guangling. No matter where Lu Yaxin was in Jiang Mo's eyes, Lu Yaxin was just a little girl whose soul power was not as high as his. If it weren't for Jin Renai playing with her explosives, he wouldn't bother to fight her. The power of the explosive today was much greater than before. Jiang Mo felt that Lu Yaxin would most likely be blown away, and it would be pretty good if it was not blown to pieces. Seeing Jiang Mo's indifferent attitude, Jin Renai's face darkened. You deserve to be single. Then, she released her soul power and prepared to detect the traces of Lu Yaxin. But at this moment, a green light quietly appeared behind Jiang Mo. Seeing this, Guangling raised her eyebrows slightly, and reached out to stop Jin Renai from releasing her soul power. Yue, there's a good show to watch. Jin Renai subconsciously looked at the sky. The green light had turned into human form after conquering the demon. Her long green hair was flying, and she was wearing a long skirt that perfectly outlined her figure. The phoenix eyes under the willow eyebrows were shining with hope. The three green petals are even more eye-catching. Her tall figure gives people a sense of purity and nobility, and this is another form of Lu Yaxin. Jin Renai calls her for short, an adult. This is, when Yu Guan saw Lu Yaxin, his eyes trembled slightly, and there was a sting in his mind. He always felt that he had seen this woman somewhere, but no matter how he thought about it, he couldn't seem to remember it. Lao Ju, what's wrong with you? The ghosts on the side couldn't help but expressed concern. This was the first time he saw Yu Guan lose his temper after seeing a strange woman. Fine, Yu Guan replied and continued to look up into the sky. The ghost then raised his head and narrowed his eyes. Who is this woman? Under the blue and white sky, Lu Yaxin kicked Jiang Mo on the back. The powerful soul power impacted the unprepared Jiang Mo. He was kicked down by Lu Yaxin fiercely. Bang! His whole body. A big hole was made in the courtyard of Mingyu Palace. Did you have a great time playing just now? Base, several strong green vines suddenly sprang out from the ground, and Lu Yaxin controlled them to tie up Jiang Mo. Before Jiang Mo had time to react, he was already entangled, and within a moment, he was tied up into it. It's like a rice dumpling. No matter how hard you struggle, it doesn't help. What happened? Jiang Mo was hung in the air by Lu Yaxin, feeling a little aggrieved, and said, "You are a sneak attack. You were unprepared, so how can you count me as a sneak attack?" The green vines formed a ladder in the air. Lu Yaxin walked down slowly and came to Jiang Mo. You are also a 96 level title Douluo after all. Can't you detect the aura of a 70 level soul saint like me? You can become invisible. Jiang Mo Qi said, you can still be paralyzed. These days, he has been fighting with two different Lu Yaxins. Although the strength of Loli Lu Yaxin is not as good as this adult one, she is fun. Although this adult is beautiful and has a good figure, it can't stop her from being too serious. Jiang Mo doesn't like people who don't have interesting souls. Is this the reason why you can't detect my aura? If you don't reflect on yourself, why are you blaming others? Lu Yaxin stretched out her hand to lift Jiang Mo's chin, and the two looked at each other. Jiang Mo's cheeks were slightly red, and he subconsciously turned his head away. You're just a sneak attack. Okay, I'll do a sneak attack. Lu Yaxin has a pair of beautiful hands. Her fingers are slender with well-defined joints. She is not very thin, but she is not fat either. When her slightly fleshy fingers hook up Jiang Mo's chin, Jiang Mo always feels there will be a special feeling. He is a tall and thick man, but he has never touched fingers that feel so good. It is like drizzle hitting a solid stone, making people's hearts beat in unison. It's still fun to be a little lolly, Jiang Mo muttered, not knowing who he was talking to. After hearing this, Lu Yaxin took back her hand. She tilted her head and looked at Jiang Mo and said, I am the little Lolita too. Why, do you like the little Lolita more? What if that's not the case? Jiang Mo turned around and said angrily, little Lolita is much more interesting than you, at least she has an interesting soul. After a moment of silence, he did not forget to add, Lu Yaxin didn't say anything. She just looked at Jiang Mo quietly. Jiang Mo was a little embarrassed by her look. Why are you looking at me like that? Let me go if you have the guts. Let's fight with each other and see what happens. Who is better? So, do you really only like to play with little Lolita? Lu Yaxin asked inexplicably. Of course, Jiang Mo replied without hesitation. Little Lolly is more interesting than you, Ro. Lu Yaxin responded and blinked slightly, making it unclear what the emotion was in her eyes. Jiang Mo realized whether he had said something he shouldn't have said. Before he had time to think clearly, the vines on his body suddenly disappeared. Stabilizing his body, Jiang Mo flew into the sky again. Lu Yaxin, there was no one in the sky? Jin Renai could not help but wave to him and said, Okay, Grandpa Jiang Mo, people have changed, and they are here. The little Lolita Lu Yaxin stood beside Jin Renai. She looked up at Jiang Mo and smiled slightly, which made Jiang Mo a little stunned. Lu Yaxin was split into two because she forcibly helped Jin Renai absorb those two special powers last time. Jin Renai has been thinking of ways to merge the two forms, but for now, there is no way. But after splitting into two, there is another advantage. Lu Yaxin can maintain the human form for a long time and no one can perceive that she is a 7-year-old soul beast. The little lolly Lu Yaxin inherited the innocence and fun that originally belonged to Lu Yaxin, while the adult version of Lu Yaxin inherited most of the original Lu Yaxin's memories and true personality. Generally, the little Lolita appears for a longer time. So the demon and the little Lolita naturally have more conversations. Both of them have childish personalities, so it's quite normal for them to get into a fight. The little Lolita Lu Yaxin has a complete normal human appearance. She does not have 3-petal green pupils and no spiritual patterns on her body. However, her soul power and martial spirit are exactly the same as the adult version of Lu Yaxin. They are just two soul forms. Skills are different. In order to distinguish these two forms, Jin Renai gave each of them a new name. The little Lolita is called Ya, and the adult version is called Xin. When the two of them get together again, let's call them Lu Yaxin again. Xiaoya, how powerful was the explosive just now? Jin Renai turned her head, looked down at the little lolly next to her, and asked aloud, It's okay. Xiaoya replied with a smile, but it's still a bit difficult to blow up the title Douluo. Why don't the young master increase the amount? Oh, I see. Jin Renai nodded, indicating that she understood. Xiaoya smiled and nodded. The next moment, Jiang Mo fell in front of the two of them. Yazin, this is Xiaoya. Jin Renai corrected. Jiang Mo. Isn't it the same person? His name is Yaxin. Jin Renai. You don't worry about it like him. He can't turn his head around. Guangling complained. You can't turn your head around. Jiang Mo glared at Guangling, and Guangling shrugged indifferently. Whoever can't change his mind knows it in his heart. What's more, when you call Xiaoya Yaxin, you are actually thinking of Xiner, 5 brothers. Speaking of Lu Yaxin, he was in a hurry to subdue the devil, and he quickly covered up. What a mess. I just want to avenge my shame. If you really wanted to avenge your shame, you wouldn't have been trapped just now. With your strength, how could you be trapped by Xiner? It's just because of your heart, and you still don't admit it. The authorities are obsessive, and bystanders are clear. Guangling can still see through this, but he himself does not agree that there is something fishy between them. After all, Lu Yaxin's body is a 7-year-old green vine, even though she has the same traits as Jin Renai. The spirit patterns are not the same kind after all. It is impossible for a soul master and a soul beast to be different. 5 brothers, his thoughts were revealed, and he was even more anxious to conquer the demons than before. He frowned, and his mouth was fighting. He didn't know what to say to explain, so he simply changed the subject, looked at Xiaoya and said, Xiaoya, do you want to go to the demon conquering hall? Go. Xiaoya replied with a smile. Then, before Jin Renai could say anything, Jiang Mo took Xiaoya and left, looking at the disappearing red light. Guangling didn't know what he was thinking. He turned his head to look at Jinru beside him and said, "You, do you think this is really good? It's not up to me whether it's good or bad. Let's go. Go in first." Jinru poked Guangling's waist, and then gave Yu Guan a look in this way. The four of them entered the meeting hall of Mingyu Palace together. The meeting hall of Mingyu Hall is very spacious. Although it is not as spacious as that of the worship hall, it is still half as big. After Yu Guan and Gui wiped the dust off their faces, they sat down opposite Jinru. Jinru looked at them and asked, "Seniors, please tell me if you have anything to say." Her voice sounded a little weak, not like the little girl Yu Guan knew before. "Is second miss injured?" Yu Guan couldn't help but ask with concern. "That's it," Jinru replied without saying much. She darkened her eyes. Until now, she had not figured out why she was counterattacked by the light of kindness. Is it a problem with her state of mind? After Yu Guan heard this, he looked at each other and had no idea what they were communicating with. Guangling looked at the two of them and felt that these two guys had bad intentions. "If you have anything to say it quickly. Stop whining. If you whine again, I will throw you all out." Gui was speechless. He knew that he came here to attract people who would not like to see him. Yu Guan didn't care so much. He said directly, "That's right, second miss. I suspect that your life experience is related to an elder in the Pope's palace." "What?" Jinru looked at Yu Guan, slightly surprised. "Is her life experience related to the Pope's palace? Speak clearly." Guangling frowned, seemingly wanting to know the meaning of Yu Guan's words more than Jinru. If Jinru is related to the Pope's palace, then why can't they find out anything about the enshrinement palace? Moreover, Jinru's age is almost the same as theirs. After all, it is impossible for him to be related to the elders of the Pope's palace, right? What is this chrysanthemum talking about? Is it related to Bibi Dong? Guangling's slightly hostile eyes came, but Yu Guan didn't care. He looked at Jinru and said, "Now that I look at the second young lady carefully, I feel that the second young lady looks very similar to the late elder Xuanling in the Pope's palace." Xuanling, Jinru frowned slightly. "Who is he? Why didn't she know there was someone named like that?" "Do you know?" Jinru asked as she turned to look at Guangling. Guangling shook his head. "I don't know him. Elder Xuanling died in the battle to hunt a blue-silver emperor." "It is normal for the 5 worshippers to be unknown," Yu Guan said. "Elder Xuanling is older than us. He is a control soul master and has extremely strong mental power. In this regard, the second lady is very similar to him." "Dead? Tang Hao beat him to death?" Jinru pursed her lips. "What is his martial spirit?" Green vine. Green vine." Guangling's eyes narrowed. "The same as Liu Yaxin?" Jinru also thought of this. She was stunned, but she felt that Yu Guan's words were somewhat credible. When Jinru was investigating her life experience, she had suspected that Bibi Dong was also investigating. After all, her appearance was a bit too sudden. Considering Bibi Dong's temperament, it would be strange if she didn't check. But as the Pope's right-hand man, Yu Guan and Gui came to tell her about this at this time. Was it Bibi Dong's arrangement? What does she want to do? Chapter 119. If you want to gain, you must first lose. Do you have a portrait of him? Jinru asked. Although she believed in Yu Guan from the bottom of her heart, her words were unfounded. Bibi Dong's relationship with her was not clear now, so she had to be cautious. "Of course there's." Yu Guan took out a folded piece of paper from his chest and handed it to Jinru and said, "This is a portrait of Elder Xuanling when he was young. The second lady will know it at a glance." Jinru reached out and took it, and under Guangling's gaze, she opened the paper. That was a handsome-looking man with beautiful features that made people stunned at first glance. Even though it was a black and white portrait, Jinru could always feel that this face was somewhat similar to hers, especially those eyes. Renyu looked at the portrait as if she was looking at herself. She felt more like the person in this portrait than she looked like. Jiuxin or Jinringsu and Zuke both said that she was similar to Jiu Ziner, but she was the only one who knew in her heart that the reason why they felt that she was similar to Jiuxin was mostly because of the secretion in her body. The breath of soul power. Without that soul power aura, she would not be as similar to Jiu Ziner as the man in this portrait. Is this man really her father? Jinru fell into silence. Her mental power is indeed very strong. She is even better in front of Tang San, who has the purple demon eyes. I originally thought this was just because she had activated the good god test and the effect of the soul power in her body, but now that she thinks about it carefully, those two can't affect the mental power at all. Her mental power is bone strong. Guangling looked at the portrait and really felt that Jinrinai looked a bit like the person in the portrait. He just said that he usually didn't care about the affairs in the Pope's palace, so it was normal for him not to know that such a person existed. How old is he? Guangling looked at Yuguan and asked. There was a slight pause at the end of the month. The age is over 100, more than 100? Guangling was silent. More than 100, isn't that about the same age as the second brother? If you are this age, it seems enough to match, but Xuanling is dead, even if it is confirmed that he is Jinrinai's father, so what? Guangling couldn't figure out what Yuguan meant by releasing this news. What on earth is that woman Bibi Dong going to do? It doesn't matter whether a person is dead or not. Elder Yuguan, thank you for informing me of this matter. Jinrinai smiled slightly. Without showing any special expression, Yuguan glanced at her and originally wanted to say something, but seeing that Jinrinai was still somewhat wary of him, she didn't say anything. He paused and said, the news has been conveyed, Miss Second. My subordinates will leave first. Jinrinai nodded. 2 seniors, go slowly. Yes, second lady. Yuguan and Gui Mei bowed and retired, and they left Mingayu Palace on the way. Gui Mei always had something he wanted to say, but he didn't know how to say it. The way he hesitated to speak almost had the word worry written on his face. The two have worked together for many years. Doesn't Yuguan know him yet? They just asked why he told Jinrinai about Xuanling and why he was moved when he saw Lu Yaxin. The first question was that he was just following orders. The second question was that he himself didn't know why he was moved by that woman. But that woman was most likely to be related to Xuanling and was both a mutation of Green Vine. Wuhan, she can actually split herself, which is really surprising. After listening to Yuguan's explanation, Gui Mei still felt that something was wrong. He always felt that there was some connection between Yuguan and the woman, but seeing the confirmation on Yuguan's face, he stopped asking. But having said that, I always feel that your Majesty's purpose is not that simple, and Xuanling's death is not without doubts. Laoju, don't you think the way your Majesty looks at Yu Yatao is a bit strange? The ghost frowned and asked suspiciously. Yuguan nodded in agreement. It's a bit strange, but that's not what we should care about. No matter what decision you make, it has nothing to do with us. As for Xuanling's death, thinking of this, he couldn't help but frown and said, Old ghost, if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have thought it was strange. But now that you mention it, I do feel that something is fishy. Xuanling didn't do anything at that time, otherwise the Blue-Silver Emperor would not have succeeded in the sacrifice. Because of this matter, he was held accountable by the previous pope. Having said this, Yuguan couldn't help but look at each other. With the arrival of spring, the flowers, plants and trees in the Wuhan Palace were blooming. The breeze gently ruffled the hair of the two of them behind their heads. In surprise, Yuguan seemed to be. I was thinking of something, is it possible? Don't talk nonsense. Gui Mei stopped him and said, this matter has nothing to do with you and me. If Yu Yatao really investigates it, it will be between your Majesty and the others and Yu Yatao. You and I can just pretend that we don't know anything about it. Yuguan was silent and did not speak. He knew in his heart that this matter really had nothing to do with him. One more thing would be better than one less thing. If there was really any deep hatred, they were also watching the show. Sighing softly, Yuguan only said, that girl's road is not easy to walk. On the other side, the Mingayu Palace. After watching Yuguan and Gui Mei leave, Guangling asked Jinrinai if she wanted to go to the Hall of Heroes to see Xuanling. Jinrinai was silent for a long time, and finally chose to go. 2 days later at night, the moon is sparse, and the bright moonlight falls like a Milky Way in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of the room. The Mingayu Palace is very quiet at night. Jinrinai is wearing a pure white nightgown and leaning against the floor-to-ceiling windows. The moonlight comes into view, and she looks up. Staring at the sky, my heart was filled with boredom. Ever since she passed the second test of kindness, she felt that her body was a little out of control, and different voices often sounded in her mind, and these abnormalities were only produced when she was on the 10th level. The purpose of the second test of kindness is to train her body. The first 9 levels are indeed training her reaction ability, mental ability, including strength, speed and other superficial factors, but the 10th level is different. When she first stepped onto the 10th level, she was plunged into darkness. In the darkness, she heard many voices, some from herself, and some from those close to her. Those sounds affected her mind like magic sounds, leading her into a world of complete darkness even with the 9-lian sword in her hand. Jinrinai could not dispel the darkness. Her whole body was in darkness, and countless black shadows lingered around her. No matter how she slashed, she could not make them disappear, and these dark shadows, in her surprised pupils, actually formed another her, a person whose appearance and breath were exactly the same as hers. Who are you? Jinru frowned, pointed her sword at the person who looked exactly like herself, and asked cautiously. During this time, she tried to contact Little Phoenix, but found that she could not detect any aura about Little Phoenix in this barrier. Are you isolated? Don't think about it, Jinru. What you should be thinking about now is yourself. Jinru stretched out her hand to touch the body of the Jiulian sword. The Jiulian sword seemed to be summoned, and the entire sword began to tremble. Jinru frowned and wanted to hold it tightly, but she still let it fly out and reach another Jinru in his hands. How could it be? Jinru's pupils trembled slightly. How did her Jiulian sword get into her hands? Are you surprised? Jinru smiled softly, and then waved the Jiulian sword energy to attack Jinru. She raised her lips slightly. Be careful, the Jiulian sword energy is stronger than your third soul. His skills are even better. The blood red blade attacked from in front of her. Jinru spread out her ice phoenix wings fiercely. The ice blue wings surrounded her in an instant. The two collided. Bang! Made a huge sound. Jinru, the moon was struck, and the man flew far away, and finally hit a pillar in the darkness before stopping. Well, there was a tearing feeling on the back, and the ice phoenix wings were forced to retract. Jinru frowned, clenched her fingers tightly, and suddenly fell to her knees on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood from her throat. Jinru, how does it feel to be injured by Jiulian's sword? In the darkness, another Jinru walked out slowly holding the Nine-Lian sword. Two breaths came out of her eyes. One was the blue breath of the ice system, and the other was the red breath of the fire system. She tilted her head slightly and looked at Jinru. You seems to be a bit sarcastic. Jinru bit her lip, stood up with difficulty and said, Who are you? Me? I am you, Jinru. Jinru frowned and smiled again. Her appearance looked extraordinarily bewitching. The nine-petal sword radiated red light along with her aura, but Jinru couldn't find anything different from her in her body, and at this moment, the person who looked exactly like her spoke. Jinru, have you ever truly looked at your heart? She came close to Jinru and stared at Jinru. The two looked at each other, and the corners of her mouth slightly raised until a smile appeared on her face. Jinru still did not give an accurate answer to this question. You didn't, right? She frowned slightly, as if a little regretful, but the smile on her face became more and more presumptuous. Jinru, the reason why you haven't faced your own heart is because you dare not, because you are no different from others. You are selfish and want to kill, but you are not sincere, right? The gentle voice reached her ears, and Jinru was unable to refute for a moment. She frowned, with extremely complex emotions hidden in her eyes. Jinru seemed to have achieved her goal. She suddenly laughed and then left. Jinru's gaze went behind her, lying on her shoulder and whispering, Do you dare to say that Tang San was not good to you back then? Do you dare to say that you didn't kill your former partner back then? Heart? Do you dare to say that you are sincere towards Guangling? To shut up. The moment the last question was answered, a powerful aura suddenly emitted from Jinru's body and drove away the person who looked exactly like her. When the other Jinru noticed this aura, an excited expression appeared on his face. It turns out that he is your bottom line. What a surprise. Saying that, Jinru went behind her again, but this time, instead of lying on her shoulders, she held the nine-petal sword on her neck. Jinru, you are different from others. You have the ability to change the status quo, but you have been waiting. What are you waiting for? Why didn't you kill the man who took your mother's token? Do you know what the nine-compassion sword means? Even if you have recovered % of your strength, it is impossible to escape from the hands of the Jiulian sword in its heyday. You hold the Jiulian sword, but you can't even display % of your strength. Jinru, are you worthy of your mother? The smiling voice listened to every word, and Jinru's mind suddenly flashed back to the way Tang Hao looked at her. It seems that because of this, Tang Hao is not afraid of the nine-compassion sword in her hand at all. He knew she couldn't kill him, but he could kill her, and if she didn't have the automatic protector of the nine-compassion sword, she wouldn't be able to live today. Is she too weak? Under the words of the black shadow Jinru, a feeling of powerlessness filled Jinru's heart. Her eyes trembled slightly and her mood began to waver. The little phoenix in her body noticed the turmoil of the divine thread and wanted to break out of the confinement. Awakening Jinru, but this imprisonment has divine power. Even if it is injured all over the body, It cannot break through, master. Little Phoenix shouted eagerly, but to no avail. In the darkness, Jinranao's body began to be covered with black shadows. The other Jinranao seemed to have achieved her goal. A successful smile appeared on her face, and the Jiulian sword in her hand was slowly covered by black shadows, red. The light is dim, and the black flames are on the vines. Fall with me, Jinranao, Yue. Haven't you rested yet? Guangling's voice came from beside her ear. Jinranao looked at him. She didn't know when Guangling entered the room with milk, but she didn't notice it at all. I'll go to bed later. Jinranao smiled slightly. Drink and go to sleep. Guangling walked to her side and handed her the milk. Jinranao took it and drank it all in one gulp. Guangling looked at her with complicated eyes. What happened? She asked, putting down her cup. Hearing this, Guangling was silent for a while. He pursed his lips and said tentatively, Yue, is there something you are hiding from me? No, Jinranao smiled and replied, why do you say that? Looking at the person in front of him, Guangling said with some worry, the aura on your body has changed. After the second test of kindness, I always feel that something is wrong with you. Yue, are you really hiding nothing from me? The smile on Jinranao's face stiffened for a moment. But it recovered immediately. No, how could I hide something from you? The content of the second test of kindness is to train the body, and it will naturally change the breath. There is no doubt about this. Yes, and doesn't the change in my breath prove that I have become stronger? Ling, don't worry, I'm fine, but... Guangling frowned, still feeling that Jinranao was hiding something from him, but he really couldn't guess what it was. I'm really fine. Jinranao took Guangling's hand and said, if I have to tell you that I have something to hide from you, then the only thing left is the God test. Guangling was silent, but his eyes did not leave Jinranao. He looked at Jinranao, as if he wanted to ask about the divine test, but at the same time, he knew in his heart that the divine test was not something he could interfere with. There was confusion in his eyes, and he looked at Jinranao. Jinranao looked at him and naturally understood what he was thinking. Ling, she grabbed his hand and whispered, well, I'm here. Guangling responded. The eyes of the two met, and feelings like seawater flooded in their hearts. They were gentle and intertwined, as if they could melt everything in the world. Jinranao stood up and kissed Guangling's lips. A crisp voice sounded. Guangling put her arms around Jinranao's waist. The two closed their eyes, and during the passionate kiss, a tear fell from the corner of Jinranao's eyes, and the words she said suddenly sounded in her ears, if you want to gain, you must first lose. Chapter 120 Meeting Emperor Zhu Yi. A good night's sleep. 2 days later, Guangling accompanied Jinranao to the Hall of Heroes. In the Hall of Heroes, Jinranao did not find any clues about Xuanling, and Guangling had never heard of a person like Xuanling, so the two had no choice but to give up. Originally, Guangling wanted Jinranao to ask Golden Crocodile Douluo, but before she could go to the Golden Crocodile Hall, Jinranao received another banquet from Emperor Zhu Yi. What's the reason this time? Guangling leaned against the gate of the Hall of Heroes, and he secretly glanced at the invitation card in Jinranao's hand, but he didn't see the words on it clearly. As people get older, their eyesight becomes a bit blurry, he complained in his heart. Jinranao put away the invitation and rarely threw it away. Birthday? She looked at Guangling and replied, birthday? Whose birthday is it? Emperor Zhu Yi? Zhu King? Or is it other royal family members? Guangling asked, but the expression on his face was not very friendly. Jinranao blinked, and could see the mind of the person in front of her at a glance. You don't want me to go? Of course not. Guangling snorted softly and said, it was that guy who issued a ban to prevent you from entering the Xiandao Empire, and now he's begging for nothing to get you to go. Why, is the imperial power so great? You really treat yourself like a green onion. After saying this, he seemed to have thought of something, and added, Yue, Wu'er Palace is not afraid of any force on this continent. As long as you don't want to go, no one can force you, you know. Of course I know. Jinranao tilted her head and smiled. Her heart warmed slightly. She said, but now is not the time to talk about this. I really need to get answers from Emperor Zhu Yi for some things. For 3 months, he has been refusing to give up. This is enough to prove that his relationship with my mother is unusual, and I must go to the Xiandao Palace. Guangling looked at her. His eyes drooped slightly, but he didn't say anything. Jinranao blinked, and she didn't know what was going on in her mind. She walked towards Guangling, took his hand and said, what if you want to go with me, we'll go together. Yeah, Guangling responded softly, and the two of them spread their wings and flew towards the Xiandao Empire. At the spring equinox, everything grows, birds chirp and flowers bloom, and the light blue sky is like a piece of pure and flawless jade, looking particularly clear on the way. Jin Renai suddenly remembered that she didn't seem to have asked about Tang Hao and Tang San since the 3 months of retreat, so before she arrived at the Heaven Dao Palace, she couldn't help asking Guangling, who was flying beside her, "Guangling, has Tang Hao's whereabouts been found recently?" "No," Guangling replied. "Since he escaped last time, no trace of him has been found, but Wuhan Palace has issued a wanted notice for him. As long as he dares to show up, he will definitely be arrested, caught." Jin Renai responded, turning her eyes slightly, not knowing what she was thinking. Guangling glanced at her, and said, "But the whereabouts of Tang San and Yu Zaigang have been found. Both of them are in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect and the Blue Electric Overlord Dragon Sect?" Jin Renai narrowed her eyes slightly. It seemed that Liu Erlong still refused to give up and was devoted to Yu Zaigang. "Alice," she sighed sadly. "This Yu Zaigang is really lucky, and he is not dead yet." "He's not dead, but he's already semi-crippled," Guangling said with some gloating. "It's said that he had a stroke in the 12th lunar month of winter. Now he can no longer take care of himself. He relies on his cousin to take care of him." "Alice, you hear? Don't tell me, the old master of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex is going to be pissed to death by his unsatisfactory son. Stroke, that would be worse than death." Jin Renai raised her eyebrows slightly, turned to look at Guangling and said, "I'm very happy to hear your tone." "No. I'm happy for you," Guangling said with a smile. Okay, be happy for me." Jin Renai was amused by him and sped up her flight speed. Guangling followed behind and smiled happily. When they were almost at a distance, she reached out and took Jin Renai's hand. The two of them interlocked their fingers and went to Xiandao together. Royal Palace. Due to Guangling's special status, he still wore black robes and a mask when he went to Xiandao Palace. This time Guangling didn't really want to do this, but for the sake of Jin Renai's safety, he felt that he had to stay with her to feel at ease. The invitation handed over by Emperor Zhu contained a token specifically for the royal family. Jin Renai showed the token and the journey was smooth, and soon they arrived at the palace where Emperor Zhu lived just as the sun was setting. Zhu King and Zhu Ke had just arrived at the outer hall today. The guards led Jin Renai into the palace. Zhu Ke heard the sound and turned around to see Jin Renai. Zhu Ke was slightly surprised by this. She rubbed her eyes, and after confirming that she was not dazzled, she was overjoyed, hurriedly ran to Jin Renai, hugged the visitor and said, "Yu, I thought you wouldn't come to my birthday party." "Okay?" "Her birthday party," Guangling set her sights on Zhu Ke. "No wonder his Ioyuir is coming here, Miss Yu." After Zhu Ke left Jin Renai, Zhu King came to them. The gentle and elegant crown prince called out softly and gave Jin Renai a look. Jin Renai lowered his eyes slightly, indicating that he understood. Afterwards, several people entered the inner hall together and met Emperor Zhu in the inner hall. Sandalwood overflowed, and the golden-toned palace was very gorgeous. Emperor Zhu was suffering from illness, and his whole body was exhausted. He was sitting in front of the table, skinny. When he saw Jin Renai, his eyes were obviously stunned. Jin Renai looked at him, and the unfamiliarity in his eyes inevitably reminded Emperor Zhu of the cold and gentle face in his mind. He stood up and called softly, "Xiao, His Majesty." Jin Renai bowed and said nothing. Father, Zhu King and Zhu Ke also saluted after Jin Renai. Emperor Zhu looked at them and nodded slightly. "Come over and sit down." Afterwards, a few people sat down, and Emperor Zhu's eyes were always on Jin Renai. Jin Renai lowered her head slightly and said nothing. Seeing this, Zhu Ke couldn't help but said in a lively tone, "Father, it's my birthday in 2 days. Have you prepared a birthday gift for me?" As she said that, she still didn't forget to elbow Zhu King beside her. "What about you, brother? Have you prepared a birthday present for me?" "Of course I'm ready," Zhu King said with a smile, and then looked at Emperor Zhu. "But the gift that the elder brother has prepared is definitely not as precious as the gift that the father has prepared for you. Little sister, why not guess what gift the father has prepared for you?" Emperor Zhu looked at the two of them and shook his head with a smile. He only had so many children left on his knees. If Zhu Bang could have such a good relationship with Zhu King, then... Thinking of this, the smile on Emperor Zhu's face faded, and what was left was suspicion of Zhu King. He looked at Zhu King, a doubt flashed in his eyes, and he didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. Jin Renai lowered her head, not paying attention to the change in the atmosphere between these people. Guangling stood behind her and took in everything. Zhu Ke took Zhu Qing's hand, her dark eyes rolling. Brother, let me guess? Well, I guess it should be the tailor-made princess dress that I like. Father, right. She looked at Emperor Zhu Yi and asked. Emperor Zhu Yi immediately returned to smiling, and he said helplessly, no, Kier, you are so old, why are you still thinking about a princess dress? Father, can't I give you some other rare items, for example? Zhu Ke asked. She really couldn't think of anything else that her father would think of giving to her. She is different from Zhu Beng, and even more different from Zhu Qing. It cannot be said that her father still wants to give her soul bones and soul guides, right? Just blinking her big eyes and looking at Emperor Zhu Yi, Emperor Zhu Yi also saw the gas in her eyes. He smiled and said, for example, soul guide, huh? Is it really a soul guide? Zhu Ke looked a little disappointed. She pouted and said, the soul guide is not as good looking as the little skirt. Ha ha ha. Emperor Zhu Yi laughed loudly after hearing this, and his face looked much rosier, but after laughing, he still sighed in his heart. Girls are still girls after all, and they are not very interested in these things. Does Yue like soul guides? Emperor Zhu Yi suddenly turned the topic to Jin Rinyu. He looked at Jin Rinyu and asked with a smile. Jin Rinyu raised her eyes, smiled back and said, of course I like it. Okay, Emperor Zhu Yi nodded. He thought for a while and said, how about you go to my private treasury and pick out a few things you like to take away when you can leave? How is it? That is of course very beautiful. Being respectful is worse than obeying orders. Thank you, Your Majesty. Jin Rinyu didn't expect that Emperor Zhu Yi would be so generous to her. She lowered her head slightly and regarded it as a salute. Don't be too polite, don't be too polite. Emperor Zhu Yi also laughed heartily, and the atmosphere was opened up. Several people chatted casually. The fourth Prince Zhu Beng also came to the inner hall half an hour later. He saluted Emperor Zhu Yi and finally sat down. Next to Jin Rinyu, he was actually surprised and strange that Jin Rinyu appeared here. Jin Rinyu's ban was a big deal at first. It was promulgated and then revoked. If it wasn't because he wanted to pretend to be a playboy, he would have wanted to ask Emperor Zhu Yi what it meant, and tonight is a dinner between their siblings and their father. Why would an outsider appear here with an entourage? His entourage can only stand outside the outer hall. Why can an outsider's entourage stand in the inner hall? Who is this guy? Okay, now that everyone is here, let's start eating. Yes, father. During dinner, Zhu Beng had been observing Jin Rinyu. He found that both Zhu Qing and Zhu Ke were a little overly enthusiastic about Jin Rinyu, as if they treated her as a family member. Of course, it's not just the two of them. Emperor Zhu Yi's love for Jin Rinyu is also beyond words. Zhu Beng had never seen his father like an outsider so much, so he couldn't help but suspect Jin Rinyu's background. If someone said now that Jin Rinyu was his father's illegitimate daughter, he would believe it. After dinner, Zhu Qing and Zhu Ke left first, followed by Zhu Beng. Emperor Zhu Yi kept Jin Rinyu in the palace. After everyone had left, he spoke. Yue, you and your mother are very similar. Jin Rinyu raised her head and looked at Emperor Zhu Yi. She could clearly feel that Emperor Zhu Yi was looking at a person through her and Emperor Zhu Yi's eyes. She didn't see any color about the love between men and women. More, it seemed to be a brother's longing for a younger sister. Is she overthinking? Jin Rinyu's eyes were slightly fixed, and she felt puzzled seeing this. Emperor Zhu Yi seemed to have read her thoughts, and couldn't help but explain. Yue, don't worry, I have no personal relationship with your mother. Your mother is both my sister and my benefactor. These things, the reason why I have been looking for your whereabouts over the years is because this is what I promised your mother to do, and now that I have found it, it can be regarded as my wish has come true. As he spoke, a kind smile appeared on his face. Jin Rinyu looked at him and slightly dispelled her doubts. How much does your majesty know about my mother? She asked. A lot, Emperor Zhu Yi replied with a smile. I have known her since I was 13 years old. 13 years old? Jin Rinyu frowned slightly, a little puzzled. She is already in her 80s and 90s, and Emperor Zhu Yi was only 13 years old, and it was only 4 or 50 years ago. How did he recognize Jiu Ziner as his younger sister? Could it be that Jiu Ziner looked as young as she did before Jin Rinyu could think about it? Emperor Zhu Yi continued to speak. He seemed to be immersed in his own memories. When he mentioned Jiu Ziner, the corners of his mouth could not help but turn up. Your mother is a very gentle person. Man, she is an auxiliary soul master, and her martial soul is the same as yours, which is a Nine-Petal Immortal Lotus. When I was 13 years old, I left the palace to practice, but I never thought that something would happen midway, and I almost died from a 10,000-year-old soul beast. Under the clause, when I was desperate, it was your mother who stepped forward to save me and even treated me. That day, it rained heavily, but I will always remember it in my heart. After hearing this, Jinru didn't think there was anything worth caring about in these words. In order to prevent Emperor Zui from continuing to talk nonsense, she asked directly, Your Majesty, do you know where my mother has gone? Emperor Zui was silent for a while, then he shook his head and sighed. I don't know. Then, he seemed to remember something, and suddenly stood up and went to the closet. He opened the closet and took out a large wooden box from inside. The box looked very delicate, with fine carvings and inlaid gems, which seemed a bit inconsistent with the box itself. However, Jinru didn't pay too much attention to the appearance of the box. She watched Emperor Zui holding the box and placing it in front of her. Then, he sat across from her again and said, Open it and take a look. Your mother gave it to me and asked me to give it to you when I see you. Jinru looked down at the box. She reached out and touched the carvings on it, but found that there was a sense of familiarity. She frowned slightly and slowly opened the wooden box. Inside was a portrait and an old book. The book has no name, but its surface has turned yellow, and it looks like it has been hidden for a long time. You can take it back and read it again, Emperor Zui said. Jinru replied that she had nothing to say. She closed the box and decided to take it back and read it. After chatting with Emperor Zui in the inner hall for a while, Jinru got up and left. Before leaving, Emperor Zui gave her several soul tools and a 3-year-old soul bone. Jinru thanked her, but she didn't expect Emperor Zui to be so generous. She thanked Emperor Zui, and then left Xiandao Palace with Guangling at night. Jinru was not in a hurry to return to Wuhan Palace. She and Guangling found a hotel in Xiandao City to rest, and by the way, they took a look at what was in the box. Taking out the portrait from the box, Jinru laid it flat on the table, and when it came into his eyes, Jinru opened his eyes slightly surprised. This is Chapter 121 Divine Pattern Cultivation Rules. Zuinling, Guangling said calmly. He stared at the portrait on the table, his eyes a little strange. Then, he glanced sideways at Jinru beside him, and saw that Jinru's expression was slightly surprised, and he didn't know that he saw the person on the scroll. Surprised, still surprised to see the green vines on the scroll in the portrait. A young man in black with tied hair and a high crown is holding a green vine hanging from a branch next to a lotus pond. The green vine in his hand has the same spiritual pattern as Liu Yaxin's body, but those spiritual patterns or the lines were very messy, and Qianren Yuguan couldn't tell anything when looking at the portrait. In the other half of the portrait, in the green lotus pond, there is a beautiful girl lying on a different lotus leaf. The girl's heterochromatic eyes are staring at the boy in the other half of the portrait. The corners of her mouth raised slightly. It seemed that he was very happy to see this young man, and the young man also had a happy smile on his face. The two looked at each other with a 1,000-year glance. Jinru looked at the portrait and seemed to be able to empathize with it, but her attention was not on the feelings now, but on the vines in the young man's hands. Is the mutated green vine the spiritual green vine? She frowned slightly, not knowing what she was thinking. This painting was made by Jiu Ziner, and her name and private seal were left in the lower right corner of the painting. This meant that Zuinling was Jinru's father, and it was no longer necessary for Guangling to doubt Yuguan. Whether what he said to Gui was true or not, Guangling had not yet guessed what the real purpose of those two people was. In any case, he had to be careful about the people in the Pope's palace, lest that woman Bibi Dong fight again. What a bad idea, Yuir. What is that book? After looking at the portrait, there was only one book left in the box. Guangling caught a glimpse of it and couldn't help but ask. After Guangling's reminder, Jinru remembered that there was another book. She picked up the book and opened it and looked at it. On the first page were written a few big words, Divine Pattern Cultivation Rules. Jinru subconsciously glanced at Guangling. She quickly turned to the second page, which was densely written with some words that neither she nor Guangling could understand. Jinru flipped through a few more pages, but there were still some words she couldn't understand. She couldn't help but hand it to Guangling and asked, "Can you understand it?" Guangling didn't take over, just glanced at it, shook his head and said, "I can't understand." "You ask Liu Yaxin, maybe she can understand," Guangling suggested. Liu Yaxin? Jinru looked at Guangling. "Have you forgotten that she has two personalities now? We didn't bring her with us when we came out this time." Xiao was at Grandpa Jiangmo's place. Guangling was silent. He really forgot. Seeing that it was getting late, he said, "Let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's go to bed tonight." "Well, that's fine," Jinru nodded and rolled her eyes, not knowing what she was thinking, but she looked at Guangling. Aren't you going to sleep? If you don't go to your own room to sleep, why don't you stay here with me? Hey, isn't it obvious to me? Guangling asked back. He hugged Jinru from behind and put his chin on Jinru's head. Making it clear that he didn't want to go back to his own room, Jinru didn't break away from his embrace. She just said, then why are you renting 2 rooms when you have nothing to do? It's a waste of money. No way, Guangling explained in a serious manner. Isn't there Julian? That room was open for her. Jiu Lion? When did she come? Jinru tilted her head and glanced at Guangling. Guangling looked up at the ceiling, obviously feeling guilty. I don't know where she came from, but since she's here, we can't let her sleep in the corridor. What do you think? Yes or no? It's true that she can't sleep in the corridor, but you can. Jinru broke away from Guangling's arms. She walked to the door of the room, opened the door, tilted her head slightly and said with a smile, come on, Ling. Guangling was speechless and stood there for a long time. He looked at Jinru, and as expected, he looked cute, but he still didn't let Jinru change his mind. Hurry up, it's already time to sleep. If you delay my sleep any longer, I will take action directly. I know, don't rush me. Guangling pouted, very unhappy. He walked slowly, glancing at Jinru from time to time, as if waiting for her to change her mind, but the fact is that until he walked out the door, Jinru didn't say anything to stay with him. She just said to him with a smile, good night, Ling Bao. Bang, the door is closed. Guangling, I didn't know whether to be happy or sad for a moment. Ugh. With a slight sigh, Guangling finally returned to his room. Honestly, after sending Guangling away, Jinru called out Little Phoenix. Master, what's wrong? The little phoenix appeared in the form of a glimpse, floating beside Jinru. I was a little confused as to why Jinru would call it out at this time, and it also avoids conspicuous bags the little phoenix has been cultivating in Jinru's body for more than half a year. It has absorbed a lot of Jinru's soul power, so now it can appear in front of Jinru in other forms. Unlike before, it could only appear in front of Jinru. Hear sounds. Can you understand that book? Jinru sat on the bed, looking at the books on the table. Little Phoenix flew to the books, flipped through them, and said, I understand. Is that the word for soul beast? She asked. The word for soul beast. Little Phoenix shook his head. Not really. Then why can't I understand? She asked again. Little Phoenix let out a long sigh and said, Master, how about you try using your soul power? Use soul power. Jinru stood up and walked to the table. She sat on the chair and reached out to flip through the book again. Help me, it is good. Little Phoenix used the soul power in his body to pull out the soul power in Jinru's body. The blue aura accompanied the pink aura. After a while, the red aura in Jinru's right eye suddenly burst out, and she suddenly, as soon as she opened her eyes, a 9-petal fairy lotus petal suddenly appeared in her eyes. The petal seemed to be a seal. It was attached to the pupil of Jinru's right eye. Through this petal, Jinru could clearly see. You can understand the words written on the cultivation rules. The little phoenix looked at Jinru and couldn't help but feel worried. It frowned slightly and couldn't help but remind, Master, your body can't withstand this explosion of power for too long. Don't look at it for too long. Well, I know, Jinru responded. After looking at it for a while, her right eye began to hurt. After roughly reading it, she roughly understood what was written in it. Withdrawing the soul power, Jinru couldn't help but shed a tear from the corner of her right eye. Jinru reached out and wiped the tears. Her eyes drooped slightly, and she didn't know what she was thinking. Master, do you really want to practice divine patterns? Little Phoenix sat on the table and looked at Jinru, feeling worried. Yeah, Jinru responded quietly without saying anything more. Seeing this, Little Phoenix wanted to stop him. The third awakening of martial souls is risky, and the cultivation of divine patterns is also very difficult. If anything happens, Master, everything has risks. Jinru interrupted, picked up the book, took out a piece of jade pendant as thin as a cicada's wing from the inside of the last page of the book, and said, I can't stop doing it just because it's risky, not to mention that only cultivation can only by finding out the divine pattern can we find the whereabouts of my father. My father is still alive. What? Little Phoenix was slightly surprised. It knew what Jinru had said to Guangling in Wuhan Hall before, and naturally also knew that Guangling had died in the battle, but why did its owner suddenly say that Guangling was still alive at this time? In fact, not only was Little Phoenix surprised, Jinru herself was also surprised when she discovered the jade pendant. It was also at the moment when she saw the jade pendant that she realized that the book The Rules of Cultivation of Divine Marks was not actually telling her how to practice the divine patterns, but, in conjunction with the painting, it told her who her father was and whether he was still alive. In this world, this jade pendant has the vitality of my father. As long as he's alive, the light of the jade pendant will not dissipate. The jade pendant as thin as cicada wings is in the shape of a 9-petal fairy lotus, with green vines wrapped around it. The spiritual lines on the green vines are very clear, and the whole jade pendant also emits a dark green light. Although the light can be seen, it looked faint, but it was indeed shining. When Jinru confirmed that the jade pendant was still shining, she was shocked. Her father was still alive. After hearing this, Little Phoenix suddenly didn't know what to say. It originally thought that Jinru chose to practice divine patterns because of the third awakening, but it didn't expect that it was because of Zuanling. Jinru's father is still alive. She wants to find her father's whereabouts. Little Phoenix has no reason to stop her, but it is difficult to reach the sky by cultivating divine patterns. She has read the book of divine pattern cultivation rules, and it clearly states that after the divine patterns are completed, it will lead to heavenly calamity. Once the heavenly calamity cannot be overcome, people will be wiped out. The little phoenix was very confused. It looked at Jinru with complicated eyes. It always wanted to say that there were other ways to find her living father, but Wuhan Sanju also needed divine marks. It was only time to keep talking. The problem was that Kainren Yu Shensi saw it when it was in turmoil. It is inevitable for its owner to cultivate divine patterns no matter how much you hide or how much you delay. That day will eventually come. The little phoenix couldn't bear it and wanted to tell everything it knew, but its mouth seemed to be restricted. As long as it was about the divine silk, it couldn't say anything. It could only use its eyes to signal, hoping that Kainren Yu can understand what it means. Jinru looked at it and didn't think of going anywhere else. She just said, I know you are worried about me, but I must find the whereabouts of my father. He is my only relative in this world, no matter what the future holds. No matter how difficult it is, I will find him. This is determined. The little phoenix lowered its eyes, not knowing what to say at all. It shook its head and finally stopped trying. Master, just think about it. I will always be by your side, little phoenix, and I won't let anything happen to you. Well, don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. Jinru patted its head and smiled. Although it was just a glimpse, Jinru could feel the true nature of the little phoenix. Perhaps because the two were nurtured by the same force. Little phoenix proudly raised its wings and patted Jinru's hand away. Don't pat my head, little phoenix. If you pat my head, it won't grow. Ah. Is that so? Jinru thought for a while, and when the little phoenix wasn't paying attention, she patted its head a few more times, and said with a smile, but little phoenix, I think you are more beautiful when you are small, so don't grow up, just so fine. Little phoenix had a dark look on his face. What boy doesn't want to grow up? The night passed. Jinru and Xiao Fenghong didn't rest until midnight, so there was no doubt that they would get up late the next day. As for Guangling, he got up early and prepared breakfast for Jinru. Unfortunately, he waited all morning today and didn't even wait for Jinru to come out of the room. For this reason, he couldn't help but suspect that Jinru was practicing the divine pattern secretly in the room behind his back. Noon passed, and Guangling still didn't wait for Jinru to leave the room. He stood at the door of Jinru's room, hesitantly wanting to knock on the door, but he felt that it would be a little uncomfortable if he disturbed Jinru's sleep. After a moment of confusion, the door suddenly opened by itself. Guangling, Jinru changed into clothes that were more convenient for movement today. She was dressed in black and had her long hair pulled up, which made her look much cooler. Her figure is not perfect, but she still has what she should have. In addition, her body has changed to a certain extent after passing the second test of kindness. She is now a different person than she was half a year ago. A big deal. Guangling looked at her and couldn't help but be stunned. He opened his eyes slightly, his eyes were a little surprised, and he forgot to speak for a moment. Jinru looked at him and couldn't help but call out, "A Ling." What? Guangling came back to his senses and happened to look at Jinru. He subconsciously looked away and looked around awkwardly, trying to cover up his emotional changes. Jinru looked at him and noticed the little Jiu in his heart at a glance. She put her hands behind her back and suddenly put her head in front of Guangling and said, "Hey Ling, what are you thinking about?" Guangling's big eyes were staring at Guangling. Guangling lowered his eyes and looked at her. Suddenly he smelled a refreshing smell coming from the person in front of him. He pursed his lips and felt inexplicably panicked. I didn't think about anything. He shifted his gaze and his ears suddenly turned slightly red when Jinrinai saw this. She couldn't help but lower her eyes and smile. Her hearty smile attracted the attention of Guangling, who was taller than her. Guangling took in all her smiles and suddenly realized that he was being teased by Jinrinai. The panic in his heart disappeared in an instant, and he gritted his teeth gently, preparing to find his own place. Yue. The next second, Jinrinai was pulled by the person in front of her. Before she could react, she fell into Guangling's arms. Guangling hugged her, buried his head in her neck, and breathed in and out, which caused Jinrinai to twitch for a while. She struggled slightly, but was hugged tighter by Guangling. Guangling raised his head slightly, bit her earlobe gently, and whispered, "Don't you want to know what I am thinking, you, son? I was thinking just now that you are really beautiful, so beautiful that I want to hide you and only put you in my arms." Chapter 122 Conquering the Demon and Lu Yaxin. What Guangling said was a bit too disgusting. Jinrinai couldn't help but feel her cheeks heat up after hearing this. Her ears turned red, and she couldn't help but shrink in Guangling's arms. "Why are you still hiding?" Jinrinai lowered her head slightly as her earlobe was bitten by Guangling. She pursed her lips and felt an inexplicable numbness in her heart. "No way," she muttered harshly. "It's obvious that you don't follow martial ethics and carried out a sneak attack." "Okay," Guangling asked in a low voice. Her voice seemed particularly seductive. "Yue, I can hear you." Jinrinai shut up. She had forgotten that title Douluo could hear her mutterings. Pouting, Jinrinai felt a little angry seeing this. Guangling couldn't help but reach out and rubbed her head to comfort her. "Okay, I won't tease you anymore." It was getting late, and Guangling didn't intend to bother Jinrinai too much. They had more important things to do today. "Let's go back." Jinrinai let go of his arms, and Guangling held her hand again. He said as he walked, "I sent a message back to Docking Neo last night. He should be waiting for us at the second brother's place now, aren't you? Do you want to know about Zuinling? Second brother is the one who has lived the longest among our group. He must know about Zuinling." Following Guangling and being held by his hand, Jinrinai felt an inexplicable sense of security in her heart. She looked at the back of the person in front of her and suddenly felt that although Guangling usually seemed quite carefree when facing her when it comes to things, he is actually very serious and even considers everything for her, so she just accepts it. Being so pampered, Jinrinai felt warm in her heart. The way she looked at Guangling began to look different from before. The little phoenix also noticed the change in feelings in her body. It frowned slightly, but it looked not very happy. Wuhandian in the demon conquering hall, Xiao and Jiang Mo studied together the explosives production manual given by Jinrinai. Xiao's brain was not as flexible as Xiner's. She was very rigid, so every time the explosives she made were more powerful. It was not ideal, and the demons were constantly exceeded. Before the explosives were produced, the basin exploded first, and even affected Xiao every time. The two of them were disgraced. It is not difficult to know that in the unprepared situation in this case, he took another mouthful of dynamite. Jiang Mo took out a breath, which was all black. Xiao Yaban beside him was a fair little Lolita, but in just a moment, she turned into a little black Lolita. Xiao was speechless. She raised her eyes and looked at Jiang Mo, her eyes almost rolling to the sky. "Haha. Mistake, mistake." Jiang Mo smiled awkwardly, and suddenly noticed that Xiao's aura next to him was starting to feel a little off. His smile instantly froze, and he immediately distanced himself from Xiao. The next second, Xiao grew up in an instant, and Xiner appeared in front of him as expected. "I'll go." "Yaxin, why do you always jump out suddenly? If I don't come out, Xiao will be bullied to death by you." Xiner stretched out her hand to wipe the black marks on her face. She glanced at the ingredients in the demon-conquering basin and said lightly, "Didn't the young master say that you should make a medium-power explosive? Who are you trying to blow up by doing this?" Jiang Mo let out a long ugh, scratched the back of his head and said a little embarrassedly, "Isn't this to see if we can match a more powerful explosive? If you want to match something with more power, you should put more of this instead of this one, right?" Xiner poured out all the black dregs in the basin. She pointed at one of the yellow materials and lectured the demon, "You know how to cause trouble. Do you know how hard it is to find this thing?" Jiayulan searched the entire market on the border of the Xiandao Empire to find just a few pieces. "It would be better for you to just throw it in and get so much." "Why, your family has a mine." "No mine," Jiang Mo replied sincerely. "Yaxin, everything will fail." "Did you fail several times when you did it before?" You can't say that you are allowed to fail and I am not allowed to fail, right? Xiner was speechless. Then just wait to be scolded. She rolled her eyes at Jiang Mo, turned around and walked to the inner hall of Jiang Mo Palace to wash her face. Jiang Mo followed her. His tone was very nonchalant. How could I get scolded? Yue is so gentle, so she won't scold others. You can think whatever you want. I'm too lazy to pay attention to you, Xiner answered. She went to her room and closed the door with a bang. Jiang Mo followed her and was rejected. He wanted to argue, but at this time, his good brother Qianjin Douluo came. Old Qi, why are you so messy? As soon as he walked into the demon-conquering hall, Qianjin smelled an extremely strong smell of saltpeter. He frowned slightly and held his nose until he entered the inner hall and felt that the air was better. Needless to say, make explosives. Qianjin looked at Jiang Mo and almost didn't recognize that the big black man was his biological brother from head to toe. There was no place that was not black if it were night now. Qianjin felt that Jiang Mo would have merged with a knight. Brother, you came just in time. Come and wipe my back. Originally, Jiang Mo was still thinking about how to get Xiner to rub his back, but now that he has someone he can talk to better, he doesn't have to go to Xiner anymore. However, Qianjin was not as happy as he imagined. I saw that his good brother deliberately kept a certain distance from him, and said with a bit of disgust, "Don't come close to me, I have mysophobia." Hey. No. Brother. I'm your biological brother, Jiang Mo roared incredulously. Every time he took a step towards Qianjin, Qianjin took a step back. It was obvious that Qianjin really disliked him subduing demon. Is he that dark? Jin Yongqi didn't care at all what he was thinking about conquering the demon. He looked left and right, but didn't find the person he was looking for in the inner hall, so he couldn't help but explain his purpose of coming. I just came to call you. It's just Xiaoya. Lao Qi, where's Xiaoya? Xiaoya. Jiang Mo crossed his arms and said angrily, Xiaoya is gone. The one who takes the lead now is Xiner. If you want to find Xiaoya, wait until next time. Qianjin was a little speechless. It doesn't matter whether she is Xiaoya or Xiner, isn't she still Yaxin? What about her? Do not know. The demon subduing Qi Dao was not cooperative at all. He turned his head away, as if the matter had nothing to do with him, and looked like he was in need of a beating. Qianjin shook his head helplessly. Why is this guy still so childish? Just like that guy from Fifth Brother. 6 offerings, sir. The door to the room was pushed open, and Xiner, wearing a light green dress, walked out of it. After coming out, she first saluted Qianjin, and then turned her attention to Jiang Mo. You are like this, why don't you go and wash yourself? Wash? Jiang Mo was furious at the moment. He was full of anger and said directly, wash with me. What's so good about washing? Black spots are good. Black spots are healthier and more manly. Xiner was speechless, and subconsciously looked at each other with Qianjin. Both of them looked at Jiang Mo as if they were mentally retarded. Qianjin advised, Old Qi, you'd better go and wash up, otherwise the second brother will definitely not come back later. Let you enter the Golden Crocodile Palace. If you don't go in, you won't go in. I won't go. Jiang Mo hummed, looking like an old man. Anyone who looked at him would want to beat him up before Qianjin could continue to speak. Xiner used green vines to tie Jiang Mo's waist. Jiang Mo couldn't avoid it, and he was suddenly hung up. No. Yaxin. Why are you carrying out sneak attacks again? Jiang Mo cursed and accused in the air. You really don't have any martial ethics. It's boring to carry out sneak attacks every time. Let me tell you, my patience has its limits. If it weren't for the fact that I don't hit women, I would. Before Jiang Mo finished speaking, Xiner suddenly flashed in front of him. She was seen stepping on the vines in the air. She stared at Jiang Mo with her 3-petal green eyes and said lightly, What do you want? Tell me. Looking at Xiner in front of him, Jiang Mo suddenly became speechless, and he suddenly couldn't say the words that came to his mouth. Xiner's 3-petal green pupils have an intimidating effect, but this skill can only be used on soul masters with a lower level than herself. It is impossible for a 96-level title Douluo like Jiang Mo to be intimidated, let alone Xiner. She didn't use her special green eyes, she just stared at Jiang Mo without anyone speaking. Qianjin looked at these two people and felt that something was always wrong, but wouldn't it be a little bad if he disturbed them now? After thinking about it, Qianjin decided to interrupt. Xiner, I will be back soon. She and Fifth Brother will go directly to the Golden Crocodile Palace. If you can finish the things here as soon as possible, go as soon as possible. Come to the Golden Crocodile Hall. You should need your help with something, little lord. Xiner glanced at Qianjin and said, young master is back. Not yet, but it should be soon, Qianjin replied. Okay, I get it. Xiner nodded, and the vines let go of the demon. Jiang Mo's eyes widened, and he didn't react for a moment. He suddenly fell to the ground. Bang! Qianjin ducked out of the way and was confirmed to be his biological brother. Xiner walked up to Qianjin and didn't care about the demon on the ground. Sir Liu Zongfeng, let's go. Seeing Xiner's unhesitating expression, Qianjin suddenly felt sympathy for his younger brother. He opened his lips, but before he could speak, the demon on the ground suddenly jumped up and said, "LV Yaxin," he roared. Xiner turned her head and frowned slightly. "What are you doing? You really think of me as..." Jiang Mo paused and immediately changed his words. "Even if you are a woman, I should let you go, but you are going too far." Xiner tilted her head slightly, and a question mark slowly appeared on her face. "No. When did you let me go?" She glared at Jiang Mo and said, "You bully Xiao all day long, blowing people up at every turn. You call this giving in to me? Do you know how to write the word giving in?" "What do you mean I bully Xiao all day long?" Jiang Mo stood up aggressively, rushed to Xiner and pointed fingers. "Obviously I let her choose, but she has to choose everything first. Is this called bullying? There are so many materials, you can choose whether to let her or not. Can you take a look at what you are doing this day? You don't do anything serious all day long, just make a dynamite bag. 9 out of 10 of them will explode in advance, the other one is a dead bag. If I leave this explosive bag to you, I think the young master will be mad at you." Xiner retorted mercilessly, saying that she didn't care about the dirty black on Jiang Mo's body, so she didn't hide from him. The two of them stared at each other, neither of them willing to give in to the other. When Qianjin saw this, he wanted to step forward to dissuade him, but he felt that if he tried to dissuade him at this time, he would be scolded by the two people. "Old, this has nothing to do with you, brother." Before Jinjun could say anything, Jiang Mo stopped him from speaking. "What a happy friend." Qianjin sighed slightly and shook his head helplessly. "Fortunately, it's still early, and there are at least several hours before Guangling and the others come back. If these two have to make trouble, let them make trouble. Anyway, it won't cause any big trouble, Xiner, that's all I've said. If you want to go, let Lao Qi take you to the second brother's place. Also, Lao Qi, don't always bully Xiaoya. Be careful that Yue will come back to settle the score with you." After giving these two people a few words each, Qianjin turned around and left the demon conquering hall. To be honest, he didn't really want to listen to Jiang Mo and Xiner arguing in the demon conquering hall. Those two were more noisy than Guangling, and they were noisy to each other. After Qianjin left, Jiang Mo and Xiner stared at each other for a long time. Finally, Jiang Mo felt that he should give in to Xiner, so he pretended to be defeated. The quarrel between the two was finally over. Xiner is not an unreasonable beast. What's more, she also understands what kind of person Jiang Mo is through getting along with her. If she hadn't seen Jiang Mo sending good things to Jin Rinai all day long, she wouldn't have paid special attention to it. Although this man looks more annoying than Wu Zongfang, it is undeniable that he is still very cute sometimes, such as now. The black dust on Jiang Mo's body covered his whole body, and except for the whites of his eyes and teeth, nothing was white. Xiner couldn't stand it, but she didn't want to take the initiative to wipe his face, lest he mistakenly think that she was interested in him. After thinking about it, she said sideways, "Your brother just said, let you take me to find him, young master, subdue the demon. Are you going to take me to find the young master just like this?" After looking Jiang Mo up and down, Xiner's eyes and words made it very clear. Jiang Mo glanced at himself and knew that he should wash himself, but because his back had been baptized by a large amount of explosives, there was no other place. It was so easy to wash, so he wanted Xiner to help, but now that he had calmed down, he felt that it was a little inconvenient for him to ask for it. "You really don't want to take a shower?" Seeing him so hesitant, Xiner felt a little contemptuous for no reason. No one really wants to walk like a coal, right? I didn't say I didn't plan to wash it. Don't spread rumors. Also, put away that look in your eyes that makes me unhappy, Jiang Mo retorted fiercely, and then, as if he thought of something, he suddenly slowed down his tone and said, "Yaxin, how about you do me a favor?" End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 about Xuanling. It was close to sunset when Guangling and Jin Renai returned to Wuhan Hall. Jiang Mo, with the help of Xiner, also cleaned all the dark spots on his body, and they rushed to Golden Crocodile Hall together, happened to meet Jin Renai and Guangling who were coming back when Xiner saw Jin Renai. She immediately greeted her, "Young master, Xiner." Jin Renai looked at her, then raised her eyes to look at Jiang Mo. "Grandpa Jiang Mo." "Yeah," Jiang Mo nodded, but he didn't notice that Jin Renai and Guangling looked a little close before entering the Golden Crocodile Hall. Guangling lightly touched Jin Renai's hand, and Jin Renai eyed him in return. The two glared at each other, and then walked into the Golden Crocodile Hall with Jiang Mo and the others. Crocodile Hall. In the Golden Crocodile Hall, Golden Crocodile Douluo and Guangling Douluo have been waiting for a long time. The architecture of the Golden Crocodile Palace is simpler and plainer than that of the Angel Palace and the Guangling Palace. Perhaps it is because Golden Crocodile Douluo is older and he doesn't like those flashy things. Therefore, what he gets usually looks more fancy. Most of the tables and chairs were sent to Guangling Hall, second brother. As soon as Guangling entered the Golden Crocodile Hall, he honestly distanced himself from Jin Renai. The eyes between Jin Crocodile and Guangling are not as bad as Jiang Mo, and if they do something small in front of Guangling, there is no guarantee that he will not betray him. In order not to be scolded and beaten so quickly, Guangling decided to restrain himself. Anyway, there was only a long time to come, so there was no rush for this moment. Second brother, third brother, Jiang Mo called after Guangling. Immediately afterwards, Jin Renai and Xiner saluted. "Grandpa Jiang Mo, Grandpa Guangling, the second is dedicated to your lord, the third is dedicated to your lord." "Well, Yu, no need to be polite, come on, sit down." Golden Crocodile Douluo nodded one by one. When it was Jin Renai's turn, he smiled. He specially left a place beside him for Jin Renai and motioned for Jin Renai to sit next to him. As for the others, they just found a place to sit. Jin Renai walked to Jin Crocodile and sat down. She smiled sweetly and said, "Thank you, Grandpa Jin Crocodile." "Haha." Golden Crocodile Douluo laughed, looking extremely happy. Guangling looked at Jin Renai and said nothing. As long as she was happy, Jiang Mo sat next to Guangling, and Xiner sat next to Jiang Mo. The three of them were in a row, and the person opposite was Guangling. Xiner actually didn't want to sit next to Jiang Mo at first, but Jiang Mo grabbed her sleeve. If she didn't sit down, Jiang Mo would tear off her sleeve. In this situation, she knew she couldn't let go, so she had no choice but to sit next to Jiang Mo. After sitting down, she did not forget to glare at Jiang Mo, who looked at her and shrugged, looking like he deserved a beating. "Looks like he's going to die." Guangling looked at the three of them, but didn't say anything. He knew what happened between Jiang Mo and Xiner, and if the two could really come together, it would be a good thing. Big Blue Bird, whereas Jiulan, seeing Xiner coming, Guangling couldn't help but think of Jiulan. Logically speaking, Jiulan should also know what Xiner can know. Why didn't Jiulan come today, you ask me? A question mark slowly appeared on Guangling's face. "That's not from my family. Why are you asking me? Isn't she with you?" Guangling asked. "She is not with you here. If I don't ask you, who should I ask?" After hearing this, Guangling was a little speechless. Didn't he just protect Jiulan once? Why did this guy Lao Wu get things wrong? Jiulan is in Mingyu Palace. Jin Renai couldn't help but speak out to save her. "I asked her to stay in Mingyu Palace." "Oh," Guangling responded without saying anything else. After saying this, Guangling glared at Guangling, as if to warn him of something. Guangling made a gesture of sealing her lips to show that she understood. Golden Crocodile Douluo watched the actions between the two of them and couldn't help but wonder if the two of them were hiding something from him. "Grandpa Jin Crocodile, I have something to ask you." Jin Renai's voice interrupted Jin Crocodile's thoughts. He looked back, smiled at Jin Renai and said, "What's the matter?" "About the elder of the Pope's palace, Xuanling." Jin Renai comes straight to the point. Xuanling. Jin Crocodile was slightly stunned when he heard the name, and then his brows wrinkled slightly, as if he had thought of something. "Why are you asking this?" he asked Jin Renai, and Jin Crocodile looked at each other, and she said seriously, "Grandpa Jin Crocodile, Xuanling is my father." "What?" Golden Crocodile Douluo was slightly shocked. "Xuanling is your father?" He opened his eyes wide and asked in disbelief, "Yu, what are you talking about?" "Xuanling is your father?" "Yes." Jin Renai nodded, frowning slightly, and suddenly felt that the Xuanling matter was not that simple for someone who could make Golden Crocodile Douluo instantly moved. There must be something unusual about him. "Grandpa Jin Crocodile, do you know him?" Jin Renai asked. Jin Crocodile's brows frowned more and more. He had shown that look just now. If he said he didn't know now, who would believe it? But he looked at Jin Renai, a little puzzled. Yue, considering your age, there is no way you're Xuanling's daughter. When Xuanling died, Jin Renai was not yet born, but the next second, what Jin Renai said surprised everyone except Guangling and Xiner. I am not only 11 years old, I am now 90 years old. What? You're not kidding, are you? Jiang Mo was the first to jump up and said, Yue, how can you be so old? A soul master cannot stay before he reaches the realm of Tidal Douluo. How can you look like you're 80 or 90 years old? Grandpa Jiang Mo, have you forgotten that my mother is a spirit beast? Jiang Mo, I really forgot. Speaking of soul beasts, Jin Crocodile seemed to remember something. He was silent for a while, seemingly acquiescing to what Jin Renai said. Well, then, Yue is about the same age as us. Jiang Mo suddenly felt a little embarrassed. If Jin Renai was really 90 years old, doesn't it mean that she is the same age group as them? It always feels weird to be called grandpa by a 90-year-old girl. It's almost the same as you, Golden Crocodile replied. After hearing this, Jiang Mo was a little depressed. What's the matter? Qinglun wasn't too surprised by this, but if he said that, Guangling wouldn't be considered an old cow eating young grass, right? Yue, tell me everything you know. Golden Crocodile looked at Jin Renai and said seriously. Jin Renai's ability to say that Xuanling is her father is enough to prove that she has found ironclad evidence. Otherwise, Xuanling has been dead for so many years. Based on her and Guangling's experience, it would be impossible for her to know the existence of Xuanling, so she must have learned something from somewhere. It is good. Jin Renai nodded and roughly told Jin Crocodile everything she knew. Among them, she deliberately concealed the fact that she went to Xiandao Palace to meet Emperor Zhu Yi, and only said that she had found Jiuxiner. The relics left behind were the portraits of Xuanling. After hearing this, Jin Crocodile said that he understood. He never expected that Xuanling would combine with a soul beast to give birth to Jin Renai. However, Jin Renai was picked up by Guangling and brought back to Wuhan Palace. Speaking of which, I don't know if it's fate or Alice. Golden Crocodile Douluo sighed, shook his head and said, Xuanling is a strong control soul master in the Wuhan Palace, with extraordinary mental power, but because the Wuhan is too ordinary, even if something happens mutated, but still not considered a high-quality martial spirit, so his training journey was relatively bumpy. Although he was a bit old when he reached the realm of Tidal Douluo, fortunately, he had arrived. The spirit hall valued his strong control. So he was recruited into the Pope's palace and became one of the elders in the Pope's palace. Was he a little old when he reached the realm of Tidal Douluo? Jin Renai grasped the key points of Jin Crocodile's words based on her age. Xuanling should have met Jiu Xiner when she was very young, and then the two fell in love before giving birth to her. But why did Jiu Xiner have to hide her? What happened during this? Has my father always stayed in Wuhan Hall? Jin Renai asked. No. Jin Crocodile shook his head and explained, Xuanling was not born in Wuhan Palace. He was recruited later. When he became the sole emperor, Wuhan Palace already had recruitment. The thought was that it was difficult to find traces of Xuanling at that time, so we kept delaying it until he became a Tidal Douluo and suddenly appeared in Wuhan City, so we recruited him a second time. The second recruitment went smoothly. It seemed like he wanted this position. Speaking of this, Jin Crocodile seemed to have thought of something again. He looked at Jin Renai and said, by the way, after he became an elder, he did mobilize the people in Wuhan Palace to go out and find a woman, who, Jiu Xiner. Jin Renai was silent then. She said again, did you find it? No. Jin Crocodile shook his head. After a moment, he suddenly understood what was going on and immediately asked, Yue, is Jiuxiner your mother? Jin Renai nodded but did not speak. At this point, Jin Crocodile suddenly realized. He pursed his lips and said, that boy, why did he suddenly agree to recruit? It turns out that he is looking for his own wife. The people below were speechless, but Xiner's face looked a little heavy. Qinglun noticed her, glanced at Xiner, and didn't know what he was thinking. Grandpa Jin Crocodile, how did my father die? After learning about Xuanling's stay in Wuhan Hall, Jin Renai asked about the cause of his death. She wanted to hear whether what Jin Crocodile said could match what was described in the Hall of Heroes. When he followed the previous pope to capture the 10-year-old blue-silver emperor, he was seriously injured by Tang Hao and died. Jin Crocodile's answer did not surprise Jin Renai. Jin Renai looked at him and didn't really believe this statement. Grandpa Jin Crocodile, was he really seriously injured and died by Tang Hao? Facing Jin Renai's questioning, Jin Crocodile was a little speechless. He didn't expect Jin Rinayu to have doubts about his words. Jin Rinayu could see Jin Crocodile's expression. She bit her lip gently and continued to ask, "Grandpa Jin Crocodile, is my father really dead?" After repeated questioning, Jin Crocodile felt a little uncomfortable. He frowned slightly, always feeling that Jin Rinayu knew something. Moon, seeing that something was wrong, Guangling immediately stood up and called Jin Rinayu to stop. This was the first time he saw someone dare to question Jin Crocodile. Even though Jin Rinayu was their favorite, in terms of status, she was not an angel after all. If a person with strong pulse really angers the golden crocodile, I'm afraid things will not end well later. Yu, do you know what you are doing? Not only Guangling, but King Lun also stood up and spoke. He winked at Jin Rinayu and signaled her not to press her like this. Jin Rinayu averted her eyes and did not adopt King Lun's suggestion. Ziner also stood up, and then Zhang Mo also stood up inexplicably. What are you all doing? Jin Crocodile glanced around the seats, and his tone became obviously bad. Everyone, sit down, he snapped. Guangling and the others were innocently shot, but they were able to block Jin Rinayu's anger for once and sat down, and the four of them didn't say anything. Then, Jin Crocodile turned his attention to Jin Rinayu. You hear, believe it or not, what I know is what I just said. Zueling did die after that serious injury. After Jin Rinayu heard this, she lowered her eyes. She clenched the jade pendant in her hand, not knowing what she was thinking. Seeing that Jin Rinayu didn't speak, Jin Crocodile didn't know what to say, so he reached out and patted Jin Rinayu's shoulder as a comfort. After a long silence, Jin Rinayu raised her eyes. She returned to her usual look, nodded and said, I understand, Grandpa Jin Crocodile, thank you for your answer. Golden Crocodile Douluo responded, looking at Jin Rinayu with a somewhat complicated expression, but Jin Rinayu didn't pay attention to his eyes. She bowed to Jin Crocodile and then led Ziner out of the Golden Crocodile Palace. Zhang Mo followed her. Guangling originally wanted to follow, but he was stopped by King Lun. The person was detained in the Golden Crocodile Hall, and in the end, he could only reluctantly answer the questions raised by the Golden Crocodile. Not long after Jin Rinayu left the Golden Crocodile Palace, and before she returned to the Mingayu Palace, she met Xiao Hulina's brother and sister, who came from the Pope Palace. Several people met head-on. Xiao and Hulina saluted Zhang Mo and said, 7 offerings. Zhang Mo waved his hand, looking a little impatient. He didn't seem to like the people in the Pope's palace very much. Saint. Jin Rinayu smiled slightly, a bit like a fake smile. Hulina looked at her and noticed that Jin Rinayu was in a bad mood at this time. Second miss, His Majesty the Pope invites you. Before Hulina could speak, Xiao bluntly stated the purpose of his and Hulina's visit. This time Hulina retracted her eyes and turned to look at Xiao. Brother, she opened her lips slightly and called softly, huh? Xiao looked at each other. Not understanding what her sister meant, then, he looked at Jin Rinayu again. Second miss, Jin Rinayu looked at Xiao and said, I understand, well, please. Xiao turned sideways to make way, and he stretched out his hand, like a knight, to ask for help. Little lord, Ziner frowned, trying to stop Jin Rinayu from following them. She always felt that this was not a good thing. I'll come back as soon as I go. Don't worry, she can't do anything to me. Jin Rinayu looked back, signaling to Ziner to rest assured. Let's go back to Mingayu Palace first, she said. Ziner frowned and remained silent, still a little worried, but since Jin Rinayu wouldn't let her go, she couldn't follow him. Seeing Jin Rinayu leaving behind the 2 brothers and sisters, her heart couldn't help but panic at this moment. Young Master. Chapter 124. The Little Phoenix Transforms. In the Pope's palace, a beautiful woman wearing purple and gold slim-fitting clothes was sitting on a high position holding a scepter. Her eyes exuded a lavender aura, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, as if she was expecting something to come. After a while, Xiao and Hulina led Jin Rinayu into her sight. Teacher, Your Majesty the Pope. Hulina, Xiao, and Jin Rinayu saluted one after another. The first 2 were respectful, but Jin Rinayu did not speak, but simply bowed and saluted. Today, Yu Guan and Gu Mei were also present, and they were a little surprised by Jin Rinayu's appearance. Their pontiff actually invited Jin Rinayu. What happened last time? The enshrinement hall actually asked Jin Rinayu to come over? It's really strange. Yu Guan and Gu Mei looked at each other, not knowing what they were communicating. Tang Yue, oh no, I should call you Jin Rinayu now. Bidong spoke calmly, exuding a noble aura of a king. Her eyes were always staring at Jin Rinayu, as if she were a hunter staring at his prey. However, this hunter was very beautiful, with a beautiful face. He didn't show any hostility. Why does His Majesty the Pope have to say polite words? You asked Her Majesty the Holy Lady to invite me over. What's the matter? Jin Renai was too lazy to deal with Bibi Dong. She said bluntly, if nothing happens, I will leave. Jin Renai acted a little too cold, and the atmosphere in the Pope's palace also dropped to freezing point. Yu Guan and Gui Mei both knew that this would be the case. The two of them sighed softly in their hearts, saying that this little girl was quite vindictive. Almost a year has passed, and she still remembers it. Of course there is something. Bibi Dong also didn't expect Jin Renai to be so disrespectful to her. Her expression was slightly moved, but she was not angry. Instead, she continued to talk to Jin Renai in a good voice. Hulina was obviously dissatisfied with Jin Renai's attitude, but she was dissatisfied. Bibi Dong didn't even get angry. She felt uncomfortable, so she could only swallow her feelings. Jin Renai raised her eyes and looked at Bibi Dong. The two looked at each other, and Jin Renai asked with a normal expression, what's the matter? You should know who your father is, right? Bibi Dong smiled slightly. A trace of greed suddenly revealed in his eyes. Jin Renai frowned slightly when she saw this. Of course, for some reason, she always felt that Bibi Dong's soul power was fluctuating, giving her a weird feeling. Then you should also know the cause of your father's death, right? Bibi Dong continued speaking, looking at Yu Guan and Gui Mei below. After the two people noticed Bibi Dong's gaze, they also lowered their heads consciously. The movements of the two of them have always been under Bibi Dong's surveillance. Bibi Dong did not care about their tip-off, but felt that there was no harm in her doing so. Bibi Dong had something to say, and Jin Renai knew what she was going to say, but regarding the life and death of Xuanling, she believed more in what Jiayu's Einer left behind. What's more, when she was in the Golden Crocodile Hall just now, she saw a different-looking Golden Crocodile Douluo's eyes. There must be something she didn't know hidden in those complicated eyes, and this matter was very 89 are related to Xuanling. Bibi Dong, do you also know? Thinking of this, Jin Renai couldn't help frowning. What does His Majesty the Pope want to say? She asked. What happened a year ago was indeed rude by me, but Jin Renai, you don't have to be so hostile to me. Your enemy is Haoshan Douluo Tang Hao, not me. Bibi Dong replied with a smile. She looked Jin Renai up and down and found that this child had grown up a lot compared to a year ago. Years ago, the previous Pope launched a soul hunt. That hunt your father participated in the whole process of Operation Soul, but was seriously injured by Tang Hao in the end and died of his injuries. Is that what the enshrinement hall told you? Listening to Bibi Dong's words, Jin Renai seemed to realize something. She looked at Bibi Dong with a little doubt. His Majesty the Pope, are you saying that the grandpas over there in the enshrinement hall are lying to me? I never said this. Bibi Dong made it clear. I just know something that you don't know. After Jin Renai heard this, she couldn't help but lower her eyes. Bibi Dong had stayed with Jin Zunji for so long, so it was not surprising that she knew about Xuanling, but she was the one who killed Jin Zunji, and what she said may not be credible. When Jin Renai was entangled, Bibi Dong gave the order first. Nana, Elder Yuguan, Elder Ghost, please step aside first. I have something to say to the second young lady alone. She glanced at Yu Guan and Gui Mei. They understood, and then bowed and retreated. Yes, His Majesty the Pope. Hulina and Ziyu also retreated one after another. Ziyu did not forget to glance at Jin Renai before leaving, not knowing what she was thinking. After those four people left, only Bibi Dong and Jin Renai were left in the entire Pope's palace. In the quiet hall, Jin Renai slowly raised her eyes, and her strange eyes became more and more obvious. Bibi Dong looked at her, slightly in a trance. Those eyes are really similar to Xuanling. Everyone has left. His Majesty the Pope, should you explain what you just said? Jin Renai couldn't help but speak. My father, what was the real cause of death, or was he not dead at all? When Jin Renai said the last words, Bibi Dong's calm face clearly moved. She narrowed her eyes slightly and looked at Jin Renai, thinking, does this girl know something? Of course your father did not die of serious injuries. Bibi Dong stood up, turned around and said, whether Elder Xuanling is really dead, Wuhan Palace has not yet come to a conclusion. When the former Pope failed to hunt for souls and returned to Wuhan Palace seriously injured, although Elder Xuanling suffered, he was injured, but it was not serious, so he could not die. But why his death was recorded in the Hall of Heroes in the Hall of Spirits? It was because he went on his own to find Tang Hao after the soul hunting operation. Since then, his whereabouts are unknown. The Hall of Spirits has sent many informants to search for him. No trace of him was found, and he seemed to have disappeared from the world, leaving no trace. If he was just an ordinary soul master, no one would care if his whereabouts were unknown, but he was one of the elders of Wuhan Palace, so he had to give a reason. So, you just say he's dead. Jin Renai frowned, although she didn't believe Bibi Dong in her heart. At present, what Bibi Dong said seemed to be more convincing than what Golden Crocodile Douluo said. It's not me, it's the previous pope, Bibi Dong corrected. It is also true that Elder Xuanling's whereabouts are unknown. And it is also true that he went out to look for Tang Hao. If you must get an accurate answer, you may need to ask Tang Hao. Bibi Dong found out about what happened between Jin Renai and Tang Hao a few days ago. It would be best for her to blame everything on Tang Hao now. Two dogs fight, play off when they both lose in the fight. She can naturally swallow Jin Renai silently like she swallowed Xuanling more than 10 years ago. Are you looking for Tang Hao? Jin Renai looked at Bibi Dong's back. Unfortunately, that beautiful figure was a black widow who only eats people. I understand what Your Majesty the Pope means. I would like to thank His Majesty the Pope for informing me of this matter today. If there is nothing else, I will leave first. Jin Renai saluted politely and had no intention of staying in the Pope's palace for any longer. Bibi Dong's intention to lure the enemy was too obvious, and she was not a fool. Tang Hao had been seriously injured and fled to Holy Soul Village. If Guangling really went to find him, it would be impossible for the two of them to be friendly. Jin Renai believed more that he went to find Jiuxiner than Xuanling went to find Tang Hao. However, why he is missing is unknown. People, where are they? After leaving the Pope's palace, Jin Renai returned to the Mingayu Palace. Bibi Dong didn't say anything to keep her. What she wanted to do was to make Jin Renai feel a knot in her heart, regardless of whether Jin Renai believes it or not. As long as there's this possibility, she will eventually be affected. Licking her lips, Bibi Dong suddenly entered the dark and mysterious Rakshasa realm. In the secret realm of Rakshasa, the sickly white-haired man had not moved for a long time. Perhaps he sensed Jin Renai's breath. His cracked lips moved slightly, as if he was murmuring something. Bibi Dong's lower body turned into the body of a spider in the secret realm of Rakshasa. She quickly climbed in front of the white-haired man. On the huge white spider web, Bibi Dong stretched out her hand to lift the man's white hair. What she saw was the already aging Zhang face. There were many cracks on that face, and those cracks were so densely packed that it looked particularly terrifying. Do you feel it, your daughter's breath? Bibi Dong smiled and said, she has strong mental power just like you, and is a better container than you. The white-haired man had a rare expression of emotion on his face. His lips were buzzing, but he could not speak. His dull eyes stared at Bibi Dong, and he frowned slowly, looking a little angry. Bibi Dong looked at him and sneered, this is the first time I've seen you show such an expression in so many years. What's wrong? Are you worried about her? Don't worry, I will find a way to let her come and to accompany you. The white-haired man gritted his teeth feebly, his eyes widened, but there was nothing he could do. All the soul power and mental power in his body had been sucked away by Bibi Dong, and now all that was left was his life force. I originally thought that Bibi Dong still had a bit of conscience and would not do anything that would devour his life force, but the fact was that he was overthinking it. Bibi Dong was not only slowly eating away at his life force, but she even had plans for his daughter. Xuanling knew that this was a crazy woman if she could lure him into the game in the first place. She could lure Jin Renai into the game in the future. This fate may be inevitable. Gritting his teeth, Xuanling couldn't help but shed 2 lines of tears from the corners of his eyes. On the other side, in the Mingayu Palace, after Jin Renai returned to Mingayu Palace, she saw Jiang Mo and Xiner quarreling again for unknown reasons. Little Lord, Jiu Lan happened to walk out of the inner hall and saw Jin Renai, so she subconsciously called out. Jin Renai looked at her and lowered her eyes slightly. Not knowing what she was thinking at this time, the little phoenix in Jin Renai's body suddenly appeared, and a blue aura emerged from Jin Renai's body. In a moment, the aura transformed into a little book boy. The little book boy was fair, with a little bit of blood on his face. Baby fat, there is an ice blue spiritual pattern on his forehead, and his eyes are as bright as the starry sky. There seems to be a vast ocean hidden in the blue, which looks very unfathomable. Powerful soul power fluctuations appeared in the Mingayu Palace. Jiang Mo and Xiner immediately stopped arguing after noticing it. They looked at the direction where the soul power came from, and saw a cute little boy. He stood obediently in front of Renyu. She blinked her eyes and looked very well behaved and lovable. Little Phoenix Jin Renai opened her eyes slightly, and was very surprised by the appearance of the Ice Crystal Phoenix. She reached out and pinched the Ice Crystal Phoenix's face, and was a little frightened. How did you become a human, Little Phoenix? As both soul beasts, Xiner could sense the soul power aura emanating from the little boy. When she confirmed that the little boy was the little phoenix, Xiner was also surprised. Jiang Mo and Jiu Lan looked at them with confused expressions on their faces. It can be said that there is fruit on the ignorant tree, and he and she are under the ignorant tree. A fuss. Little Phoenix shrugged and said, when the time comes, of course it will be fine. As soon as he opened his mouth, he broke the filter Jinru had just put on him. A conspicuous bag is still a conspicuous bag, it doesn't change at the core. Tell me how you came out, Jinru asked. Hey, master, didn't I tell you everything? When the time comes, I will come out, Little Phoenix replied with a smile. After a second thought, he turned back to say hello to Xiner. Hello, little Luden. Xiner, stinky and conspicuous bag, don't reveal your identity. Jiang Mo subconsciously looked at Xiner beside him. You also have a nickname called Little Green Vine. No, Xiner turned her head away and denied. Oh, then why did he call you Little Green Vine? Because your martial spirit is a mutated green vine, Jiang Mo asked. Without looking at Xiner's face, Xiner turned her head and rolled her eyes at him. I have a grudge against him. After saying that, he walked to the inner hall. Have a grudge? Jiang Mo blinked. Have a grudge against a little brat? Seeing this, Jinru couldn't help but shook her head. Jiang Mo is a big fool, and he usually doesn't delve into more than one thing. Come with me. She winked at Little Phoenix. Oh. The little phoenix responded and followed his master. One person and one beast walked slowly back to the master bedroom of Mingyu Palace. Jinru closed the door and motioned for Little Phoenix to sit on the sofa. Little Phoenix sat down honestly and picked up the fruit on the table and ate it without any politeness. Yes, master. This is delicious. He picked up a peach casually. It was sweet and soft. As soon as the peach meat was in his mouth, his eyes couldn't help but light up. He immediately raised the peach in his hand and waved to Jinru in praise. Master, I still want to eat this. Do you still have this? Little Phoenix's eyes were wide open, perhaps because he had never experienced the dangers of the human world, and there was a clear sense of stupidity in his eyes. Jinru looked at him, her red lips pursed into a slit. She raised her hand and pointed in a direction. Yes, over there. Thank you, master. The little phoenix flew over in a hurry. He picked up the peach and gnawed it. He didn't care whether it was washed or not. He was enjoying eating it. Jinru looked at him, her eyelashes trembling slightly, and she suddenly remembered the divine pattern catastrophe. Chapter 125. She doesn't look like a normal person. Is it because you suddenly transformed into catastrophe? Jinru didn't know when she walked behind Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix felt a chill down his spine, and the peach in his hand suddenly no longer smelled good. Hey, he clapped his hands, stood up and said, Master, that's not the case. It's time for me, Little Phoenix, to transform. I've been in your body for so long, Master, but I've been suffocated to death, Little Phoenix. No, Master, the soul power in your body has been a bit overflowing recently, and the Little Phoenix is very close to me, so I ate more. Who knew that after eating more, I would suddenly be able to transform, and then I, the Little Phoenix, would appear. It's in front of you, Master. Little Phoenix spoke sincerely and didn't look like he was lying, but Jinru always felt that things were not that simple. She frowned slightly and confirmed, is it really just the time? Really? Little Phoenix replied confidently, but my transformation can't last long. After all, the soul ring and soul bones are still in your body, the master, then logically, you shouldn't even show up. After all, your soul ring and soul bones are in my body. Little Phoenix was sweating slightly. He reached out and tugged on Jinru's clothes and said, oh, master, I know I was wrong. I'll say hello first next time. It's no use. Jinru glanced at Little Phoenix, turned her eyes away and said, you can come out as soon as you think of it. You don't have to say hello to me, master, don't be angry first. Little Phoenix smacked his lips, and he explained, master, actually there is a reason why I suddenly appeared this time. What reason? Jinru asked. That's right, master. Little Phoenix restrained his carelessness in an instant. He raised his eyes and looked at Jinru and said seriously, just now, I noticed a very unusual aura on that purple-haired woman. That aura is too evil and hurtful. I think she must have done something unnatural, otherwise the aura on a normal person would not be so turbid. Master, you'd better stay away from her. She is really not like a normal person, not like a normal person. There was no special expression on Jinru's face. She is not a normal person to begin with, so there is no need to use this word to describe her. I'm serious, master. Seeing that Jinru didn't care, Little Phoenix frowned and stamped his feet, looking a little anxious. He pouted, looking a little angry. Jinrinai smiled softly. She just wanted to tease Little Phoenix. She reached out and rubbed Little Phoenix's head and said, "Okay, I mean what you said. I also feel that the aura on that woman's body is weird, but the current focus is not on her, but on the divine pattern, so I won't have too much contact with her." "That's good." Hearing what Jinrinai said, Little Phoenix felt relieved. He smashed it in his mouth, then picked up the peach he had just put down and continued to nibble on it. "Peaches are so delicious." Jinrinai looked at him, shook her head slightly, and said nothing. She walked slowly to the sofa and sat down. She took out a manual for cultivating divine patterns from her soul guide and placed it on the table to read carefully for a while. After an hour there was a knock on the door of the room. Jinrinai raised her eyes slightly and said softly, "Please come in, young master, the saint is here." The person knocking on the door was Jiu Lan. After staying in the worship hall these days, she also understood the relationships between the characters through Kingluan, so when she saw Hulina and the others coming, she would not directly drive them out. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.